I mean, we might as well because Guy will be along, Chris will be joining us. It's Ron's birthday, so I don't think he's going to be joining us. I'm used to him having the camera up there. Now I put it right here. That's going to be some adjustment. So, got a new camera. I wanted to show off just how filthy and dirty and messy my room was. It's 100% pure barf, folks. So, otherwise, hello and welcome to the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. My name is Bill Kelly. I am Hornswoggle the Great, and, well, our other co-hosts are late tonight, but with me I have...
Bob the Blacksmith.
Have Cigar Will Travel. And kill ne'er-do-wells. So, Running Scared. I think it was 1980. Now I have to look it up. We were talking about, like, realistic buddy cop movies because, like, not all buddy cop movies from the 80s are realistic. Most of them are Showdown in Little Tokyo or Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours where one of the people is normal and the other one is an unhinged lunatic. Oh, but before we start, today, July 7th, 2025, National World Chocolate Day. Totally get behind this day. Also, National Day of Rock and Roll. Yeah! Keep that going. National Dive Bar Day. It's very important to, support your local businesses. And you meet some pretty incredible people in dive bars. You also meet some fantastic assholes. So it really just depends on your local vicinity.
Microcosm
Ooh,
of
that's a good one.
your local. You can find everything in the dive.
Well, we're not even a couple minutes in, and we're already at it. Doesn't matter. This is for adults. We don't want kids watching the show. Well, National Macaroni Day. Macaroni's all right. I don't hate it. You get burned out on it when you're poor because that's what you eat. So macaroni, pizza, chicken. Also, National Dora Day. Dora the Explorer. Good for the kids. Speaking of little kids. Or there's what's her name on TikTok and Facebook that does Hora the Explorer, the comedian chick. She's hilarious. I love her. And she's easy on the eye. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, we were talking about buddy cop movies. I'm sure we'll talk about other stuff later. Guy will be joining us. Again, Ron's birthday, so his amazing wife, Laura, and 4 awesome children probably have something planned for him. He's super dad.
Got him tied up and hosing him down in the back patio.
Uh-oh, there's another Running Scared movie in 2006, but it was 1986 with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines and Stephen Bauer and Joey Pants and what's his name? The guy that he's going to be Nick Tortelli forever, even though he's played multiple other roles. Yeah, Joey Pantaloon. Oh, Dan Hedaya. He's been Nick Tortelli. He was their captain. He was their boss in this movie because I was one of the best movies ever. Is they're complaining to their boss. He's Jeffrey Rabin in The Usual Suspects. He's also in Commando. In Clueless, he plays the dad. He plays Alicia Silverstein's father. He's in Mulholland Drive. He's in a lot of movies. He's in Gotham. He's Detective Dix.
Kind of a character act.
Kinda, yeah. He's that ethnic, older Italian tough guy that doesn't have to. You get his respect automatically because you're like, okay, this guy's seen some shit. And Running Scared, if you're in our age group, you probably saw it when it was brand new in '86 when it came out. I mean, I was 14, and it was immediately on cable. And he's Mr. Gunk in the animated film Robots with Robin Williams and Ewan McGregor and what's his name is the bad guy, Greg Kinnear, and he's So funny. He's one of those like uh, overly nice bad guys.
Yeah.
It's unnerving. Ew, why are you pretending to be everything you're not? That's right. He's the dad in Night at the Roxbury. I didn't really watch Alien Resurrection. I'm still mad about Alien 3. It's not the movie you sold us. Clueless, To Die For, The Usual Suspects. Maverick. He's one of the riverboat player. Maverick is a fun movie, but the reason that we looked him up and the reason that we were talking about it is because Running Scared has one of the best lines where they're talking about retirement, but he doesn't want them to retire because, Chicago has a lot of crime. They need these two guys. Even though they're goofballs, they get the job done. But they don't have like with 48 Hours, Eddie Murphy is a convict and Nick Nolte is big, so they rely on a lot of the he's really strong aspect for the plot. Or even with Beverly Hills Cop, you're not so much going on cop stuff as you are like, here's the fish out of water story, because that's essentially, I mean, that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a fine literary plot, and especially the first one. The second one was okay, but the first one was really good because it was so fresh, and you brought these, Axel Foley's this, downtown Detroit cop. He's going to have, those kind of instincts versus Beverly Hills, where there's still crime, but it's a different kind of crime. Like at my job, we still do securities, but it's vastly less stabbings and more, dude, come on, you got to go. I don't want to have to call the police. Sorry. I got a boss too. So here's some water. It's 110 outside. So Billy Crystal's character and Gregory Hines' characters are complaining, and their boss, show me another job they let you shoot people. And they cut back to Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal across the table, and Gregory Hines yells out, "We're tired of that." I was like, yeah, you would become desensitized to it after a while. My Willow and Beth and Chip got me a shirt for my birthday, and it completely summarizes summer. Waka, 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 because it's so
Yep.
fantastically hot out there. Because I've been at the ranch a lot this week, and for all the talk I've done on this podcast, watch the videos, you'll see. I got some serious unnecessary sawzalling and grinding done. Did you know that there is an extra body mount on a Suburban right behind the shocks in the back? Where
Interesting.
Joe? Yeah, I did not know. Live and learn. It's all about learning. Student of the universe. Fucked me off, let me tell you. Oh my God, I thought I was done. Okay, it's good. It's go. You just gotta, some wires and some stuff, and then he'll be able to get. Because for the last 2 days we got that off, and then I started cutting some more. But now it's Joe's son wants the 454 for a blower motor, and you need a seasoned block, and that block has had over 200,000 miles on it, towing trailers in the 90s back and forth from Chicago and Colorado, and mostly Colorado and Arizona from the story I got today. So the engine is what his son wants. So we took the motor mounts, disconnected the exhaust. He did the brake line and a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, I can't really cut anymore. That's why I made the videos about the panel truck, because I kind of need the forklift to lift it up to get the back lights cut off that Pete wants for another vehicle. But then also, because Oh, they were very concerned about the dome lighting electrical, and I get that, but dude, it's 41-year-old wiring. I'm gonna replace it all anyway. I mean, if I've gone this far, replace the wiring. But the roof is off. It's off. It's sitting there in the shade. I've been pecking at it, pecking at it, pecking at it. But pretty much, go team us. We're getting it done. Getting shit done. Things are good. Things are golden.
Excellent.
The problem is the minute Pete saw the front, oh, I want that. Yeah, but I'm going to use this for the. No, no, no. I got a better one for you. I'll give you my Suburban out there. Oh, now I got to start all over. But at least now I know what I'm doing.
So he wants the Suburban, and he wants to trade you another Suburban for the Suburban.
He wants the. I don't want to say it's a worse condition frame. It's dirtier. Because he and I had it wasn't an argument, but it was basically like let me clean up this frame and paint it. No, I'm just going to put the cab on it. We'll sell it. No, let me clean it up. It's got crap everywhere. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I went, Joe, where does Pete keep his scrapers? We should scrape all the rust and the metal and all the shit off of this in here, in the shop. So then it'll be way easier to sweep it up on the cement and gather it and throw it away so it doesn't get stuck in dog paws.
Yeah.
And both, Joe said, no, I don't think it'll matter. But even so, don't do it now because we're going to be under there. Oh, okay, good point. I should stop then. And here, let me clean up my...
Gretchen, stop.
Uh-oh. How's they doing?
He's over here licking her paws. I got to keep her from doing that.
Poor baby.
So you were underneath it, and you decided not to hose it down so you could still get under.
Yeah, Joe's like, we're going to be laying in that if you... And I'm like, okay, good point. And then, like 3 or 4 hours later, Pete came by, and he's like, no. He bought a 6400, I think it's a 54, and it's the front clip and the cab and it's in, one of the doors has a dent, but that's fixable, and it's in really good shape. So he wants to throw that on this. Well, let me clean it up for you. You know, you want to charge over $4,000. I think you wanted 44 for it, and you could probably get it because now you've got disc brakes and all the modern accoutrement. You could do anything with this.
Yeah.
So after a long discussion, I kind of, well, I'm coming over tomorrow with my SCT tool. This is happening. Just let this happen. You know. He just laughed at me. Okay. Say what? You know, you clean it up, put a matte finish on it. A guy who wants to do it himself is going to be annoyed that you painted it, but at least he knows you took all the crap off of it. A guy who doesn't want to take the time, hey, thanks for doing that for me. Time tested, gearhead approved.
Yeah. Well, if you clean it up, you're into it for a couple of hours, cleaning it, getting all that done. And for, I think it's 10 or 12 bucks now, you can buy the Rust-Oleum Turbo can, which is the larger can, wider spray fan. And it may be as much as 20 bucks now, but 2 of those, you can paint that entire frame and have it cleaned up, ready to go. And even somebody that wanted to get it powder coated is going to be happy that all of the chunks, all of the garbage is off of it. So now it becomes very easy. If they're going to take it to a powder coater, they're going to have it sandblasted anyways.
Yeah.
But in this case, the sandblast shop's going to look at it and go, hey, This we like to work on because I don't have to spend extra time cleaning all the crap out of it.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the work for me. I appreciate that.
Yep.
It's a lot easier if you think about it. But yeah, leaps and bounds. And now the Suburban is out of his yard. Joe gets his motor and transmission and all the other parts he wants to hold on to and sell. Everything else is going for scrap. I got the roof. We'll cut the roof down. We'll make it work. Because even Body Man Bill showed up, and I'm like, yay! And he was like, you're wasting your time. It's like, dude, leave me alone. I'm having a blast. I'm cutting up a car with a Sawzall. People would pay hundreds of dollars just to do that. If you just hand them a Sawzall and go, and a whole shit ton of blades, and you're like, go crazy. I can't, like...
Here's what you get to do.
Yeah, I can't, like, blow it up or anything. Well, no, that's not... You could cut it up and grind it up, and like I was saying on the videos, there's a certain level of power in that. Now, granted, I am all scarred up because I keep forgetting that I no longer have the layer of fat under my... oh, shit. Oh, God, I'm bleeding again. Or, well, the other... apparently I cut myself at some point. You got a paper towel? You know.
So you've got a good idea for Pete. This is the car guy's equivalent to one of these smash rooms.
What?
You put it out there. You know, you've got those smash rooms. People can go in there and they just bust shit up. Yeah. So this is the car guy's equivalent. I've got vehicles out here that are scrap. There's nothing else that can be done with them. But it's easier if we cut them up, mash them up, and throw them into that 40-foot container, roll off them, than it is to try to take them this way down to a scrapyard. Because if you cut it up into little bitty pieces and throw it in there, scrapyard will pick that thing up. But they're not happy if I throw a whole car in a goddamn.
No.
So now what you do is you tell them, how many times you sell it as, how many cars have you worked on in your life? Well, I'm a car guy. And how many cars have you been pissed off at while you were working on them?
All of them.
Couldn't bash the shit out of it with a hammer because you needed that car to go to work, or you wanted to rebuild that car, or you were working on it. So that becomes the case where you look at people and you say, hey, here's your opportunity. Remember that 1975 Chevrolet square body where you couldn't get the power steering pump out of? Here's a hammer, here's a saw, have a good time.
Oh, God, yeah. There's so many cars that I would love to destroy.
$45 for an hour. And whatever you can cut off and destroy, good luck. Thanks for coming. If you want to do it all day, $250 for all day. You can come out here till you pass out.
Don't worry. We got a couple cases of water. You'll be fine after we find you.
Yeah, I got water. I've got water and dogs that will be happy to lick you while you're on the floor.
Okay, everything beyond the yellow tape, do not touch that, or by penalty of death. Oh, my God.
That's right. I'll feed you to the big one.
He's lost a lot of weight. He's great. He's running around. He's doing good for a 9-year-old adult male Siberian Husky. He's doing very
He's happy.
He's
That's
happy.
all that matters.
Yeah, I talked to him. Well, it's July. It's the beginning of July. He shows up when I show up because it's still kind of early. It was cool enough today that when I left the house, it said 92 degrees, but when I got out there, there were hot air balloons.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool there. So for the most part, I just kind of grinded and sawzalled and helped Joe get the last of all of the tubes and wires that weren't already chopped so that the engine can be lifted out by the forklift and put on the pallet, and Joe can... His son is going to... They're coming by with a truck, and then they're going to take the engine away. So,
Okay.
win-win.
Are they taking? Well, he's taking the frame, so you have the other chassis that you're going to have to strip down.
Well, I was going to have this chassis and frame, but Pete saw it, so now he wanted it.
But if you're going to have the other one and the chassis, the frame is good, then
Yeah.
if you can have the axle as well as keeping the front suspension, if you can have the rear axle, then that makes it a roller, and that makes it much easier to work on.
Yeah.
Then it's easy to move the panel wagon onto that chassis, and then it can be rolled around. So that works out well.
Well, the whole point is to zero waste and total recycling. So if he can make money selling the other stuff, or even better, we can put some of those cabs that are just sitting on the ground onto frames.
Yeah.
Be happy with that too. There's several. I'm going out there again tomorrow. You sure you want to go to St. Mary's tomorrow?
I know. Tuesday is crazy ass meeting day.
Guy. All right.
All right. Yeah. Well, sorry about that, guys.
Life interrupts, dude. That's why we didn't have last week. Life interrupts, and the council of one just didn't seem right. We are the gang of one. Yeah, it's just me.
The Spanish Inquisitor, as opposed to the Inquisition.
You can't talk them out of anything. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
There we go.
There you are. And then
I got
later,
everything set.
Chris is going to join us in a bit, but dude, it's Ron's birthday. It would be great if he joined us, but I really don't. I'll be there next week. Okay. No, you won't.
That's okay. It's okay. Life happens and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Rob, how was your trip?
Yeah, we didn't even get to that yet.
It went very well. I'll tell you, that is one hell of a drive. We went up. There's two options when coming out of Phoenix and trying to get to Denver by car. One is to go up through Moab. So you head up through the Indian Reservation into Moab and then come across at Grand Junction, Colorado, into Denver from the west. The other option is to go up through Santa Fe. And go up through New Mexico and come up out of the south. So my mother loves Moab. Been there a couple of times. She loves to go up and see the Arches National Monument. We didn't have time for any of that, but she wanted to go that way. The funny thing was that she did not remember a lot of the Indian reservation from her past travels. So we were far enough west that we didn't run into the oak fire that was happening. That's still smoldering up there, but we got to see some of the plumes on the way back. But she didn't realize, and I had forgotten, few decades since I've been up there. But that landscape, there's about a 25-mile stretch after you enter the reservation where you are literally driving through what was the bottom of a seabed many, many thousands of years ago.
Thousands.
And
Keep
going. There is no vegetation as far as the eye can see a good portion of this section, and the ground is ashen white, gray.
Wow.
And you look at it, and my mother kept remarking, if I was to land on the moon, this is what I think it would look like. Yeah, you're pretty close.
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
But when you look out there, you can tell that a good portion of what's there is basically the tailings of fossilized sea creatures. So,
I can imagine.
Millions of years ago, this was the bottom of the ocean, and there's nothing to see. And then as you climb out, the landscape changed so dramatically as you climb out, you get up onto the plateau. Then you start to see the creosote, you start to see a lot of the grazing lands. You're still on the reservation. all the way up. So that was interesting. Coming back was a better drive. I'll tell you though,
Mhm.
going there, the last 60 miles, 70 miles, getting into Denver was a nightmare because we hit horrible traffic coming out of the mountains, coming down from Vail and all the ski stuff on the 70. Traffic literally backed up. I had a 2-hour backup. We were
Wow.
driving 5-10 miles an hour coming down the hill towards Denver. Well, coming back, trying to get here yesterday, we left Moab at 6 a.m. My hope was that we could get through Flagstaff by about 11:30, and we would miss most of the folks trying to get home
Mhm.
from the 4th of July weekend.
Damn, are you
Oh,
optimistic?
oh yeah.
We got there. You know what it was? I
What?
had 3 accidents
Oh
that
man.
popped up as we were coming down. So we come
Jeez,
out of Flagstaff, and
you know,
there's an accident, backs up. Then we climb up out of Camp Verde. There's another accident. We climb up, and we run into all the backup at Portis Junction. As soon as I got past that, I took my foot off of the accelerator and was coming down. They had the switch lanes open on the I-17 coming down the hill, so I pulled into the brand new switch lanes and let gravity do its job.
Yeah.
And it was, Mom just laid back, closed her eyes, and I was, yep, if I can do this in an ambulance, I can do this in a little Nissan.
no problem.
No problem. Oh man, that's awesome.
The I-17 is a lot better now in the
Yeah.
future than it was in the 80s and the early 80s when it was a 2-lane road.
Yep. Oh, I I was very happy to see a lot of stuff because one of my old station houses was up in Daisy Mountain,
Mhm.
and we covered all the way up to the top, I mean, all the way up to Sunset Point. We would cover. We would run into Portis Junction, and now the areas where I used to have the most accidents, people going off the road and launching off the highway. We would do high angle rescue, pulling vehicles out of there. It's now 3 lanes wide on both sides. Beautiful, clean, smooth as silk. So I look at it and think, well, at least I know that the guys in Daisy Mountain aren't getting as many 2 a.m. call outs for vehicle off the side into the ravine.
Oh man,
Times have changed.
that's tough. That's changed.
I'm glad you had the pictures were great. I reposted as many as I could.
I had a
There's
good
probably
time.
more.
The only thing I kind of regret, when you go to the Mint, you can't take any pictures. So we went
Oh.
to the Denver Mint, and it's about, I guess it's about an hour's tour. So you go in, and they walk you through. They have this nice area downstairs where you kind of gather for about 15, 20 minutes while they bring everybody together. Then you go upstairs, and they take you through. You can see the Mint areas. You can see all of the production floor from this gallery. And found out that they are no longer minting pennies at all.
What?
So
Wow.
no more pennies. The pennies are not being minted. They're not even getting the blanks right. So that side of the production facility was sitting unused. And it was nice because they could show us all of the equipment. You could point out all of the equipment that they use and the processes. And when you're upstairs in the gallery, they have all the equipment from when they first started. So the original weighing systems, the balance beams. They had a mechanical calculator that had 10 digits. So what it was a set of buttons 0 through 9, 10 sets, and a manual set for the decimal point. And this thing was, I mean, it was as big as a regular desk today. And this was a calculator.
Was it like an
That's really
abacus?
Not an abacus. It was like the old mechanical calculator. So you punch the buttons you need, pull the bar. Punch the buttons you need, pull the bar. And this said 10 registers. So you could track a large number of items. They had the giant pentagraph, the old pentagraph machine that they would use to shrink down after they made a design for a coin. And this thing would reduce it by half. I guess it'd set it up and reduce it by half. We got to see some of the folks because they have their own machine shop, of course, and they have their own shop that makes all the stamps. So all of the actual stamping heads. So that was really interesting to see. But I found out that they also, in the Denver Mint, they have their numismatists area where they make all of the commemorative coins. So the non-circulating coins, all the specialty coins, and you walk through and they must have had 8 machines. And on top of each machine was a picture for the operator to see this is the coin that you're working on.
This is what you make. Nothing else.
You guys are going to have a good time with is they have a new series of coins coming out that are not. They are for collectors only, of course. They are not for general consumption or use. They're DC superheroes.
oh yes.
Right on. Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. That's the 3 that they're going to do. And I think they're going to be gold coins.
That's awesome.
So
Batman say, in Wayne we trust.
So the thing is,
it was really cool to see that stuff.
That's awesome. Oh my god, I wish you would have taken pictures. I would have loved to see the mechanical stuff of it.
Yeah.
It's mechanical stuff on it because the engravings, they have to be done by artists. Yeah. So you imagine they had to get somebody from DC, somebody to do an artist engraving of Batman to make the stamp for the coin. It's a one-off. That machining, I would have just loved to just been there. A fly on the wall. The machine is awesome.
I've known you too long. When no one is looking, you would have gone over there with some etching paper and some fucking chalk and been like, tell me if he's coming. Tell me if he's coming. Holy shit. Give me a picture of that quick. I can totally see you doing that.
You know, it's funny. You see all that stuff on the Mint website. So they've got all that stuff posted up on the Mint website. But it was impressive to see that. I mean, walking through, and then we went into you go into the gift shop and you can buy any of the coins, any of the coin sets, any of that stuff in the gift shop. And so you're not paying extra money to Franklin Mint or this outfit or that outfit. You're buying it direct. The interesting thing was finding out that the Mint is the only government agency, the only government entity that is self-funded.
Really?
Oh, wow.
It is self-funded because everything that it manufactures, it sells to the banks and to the Fed. So the Fed buys it, banks buy it, and then all of the specialty coins they make get sold to collectors around the world. So they had talked about they have literally returned to the government billions with a B over the last decade or so, maybe a little longer. Every year they turn a profit. Every year they make more money than it costs them to operate. So the idea that a penny costs more to manufacture than it's worth is not necessarily correct because they are making money. They are not losing any money in their operations at any of the mints.
Sorry, can I switch back to today? We were talking about, dude, just let me, I'll bring my CTS tool. I'll just go over the frame. Nah. I'm just going to put the cab on it. I'm going to put it up for sale. And then Joe's like super dehydrated at this point. I'm trying to force water on him, and I got him to drink one of the smaller bottles of water, but he still I don't know what I did with my water. Dude, you're 78. That's not a good thing. And Joe goes, well, you'll have the labor. And I looked at him, I'm like, Joe, the labor is me. The labor is free. The labor is I want to do this so that it'll get Pete more money when he sells it. It's a friend favor. There's no labor involved. If you think of all friend favors are labor.
Yeah, it's part of bartering.
Yeah.
Dude, good job on that. I saw you tore everything off of that frame.
Thank you.
Where did the frame go? Where did the frame go?
Right now, it's in the shop. Sorry, Rob. I totally stole the thunder in the beginning, but we were talking about the movie Running Scared and some of the quotes from that movie because I saw some on Facebook and show me another job they let you shoot people. We're tired of that.
No, good job on that.
Thank you. And Rob, the trip was amazing. I was living vicariously along with you guys in the back seat.
It was funny because I wanted to go see. I got a visit the week before at Lodge from the past master of Denver Lodge number 5. And he came out, just happened to come to Lodge. So we got a chance to talk. I told him, hey, I'm going to be up in your neck of the woods following week. Well, he was traveling around, so he wasn't going to be around. But I got to go downtown, and you saw the pictures of the Lodge building downtown.
It's a beautiful building.
Right up the road. Oh, it was gorgeous. Right up the road is the Scottish Rite building, which was freestanding. So
two birds,
I
one
called.
stone.
I said I wanted to find out if they were going to be open, if they were available. I knew it was the 4th of July week.
Yeah.
So I called the number, and one of the ladies that was working there, she said, well, we don't have everybody in town right now, but let me reach out to the secretary and see if he's available to let you in. I said, hey, that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. Well, we're standing outside. It's like 94 degrees. And my sister's like, it's so hot. It's so hot. Yeah, I'm like, this isn't bad. And she says, well, it's so hot outside. Let me open the doors for you. You guys can come in the lobby where it's air conditioned. Okay. So we're in the lobby. And about 2 minutes later, the secretary for the Scottish Rite Denver Consistory comes down in the elevator and he says, welcome. And he hands me the stuff that I showed the pictures of. He hands me a coin from their 100th anniversary. And he hands me a pin and some other stuff. And I gave him a coin from my lot.
Nice.
And then he took us on the long tour. And my mother and my sister are like, how big is this building? Well, come on. And he's giving them the whole history. This section is brand new. We built this in 2005. This section is the original building. It was built in 1919, but then we mentioned it and we finished it in 1920. And then
back in
he walked us through the whole thing. Oh, the original, they had 2 lodge rooms. So one was a great big one where you saw all the stadium seating, and that's for the Scottish Rite. The other lodge room was this small lodge room.
That's for
where they have the blue lodges. And we walk in there, and the original chairs, the chairs that are in there are original from the 1880s. And I'm looking at these chairs, I'm like, oh my God. Walking through and looking at all the equipment, whatnot that they have in the building. Just, for me, it was like, it was like being able to go into the museum and the guy saying, no, go ahead. No, you can sit over there. You can touch that.
You can play with the Tesla thing.
If I was to go to it was like going to the Peterson Museum and having them say, no, you can sit in the Mysterian. Go ahead.
You can sit in the
After a lifetime of being told, put your hands in your pockets before you walk up to that thing, because I know you're going to try to touch it. Fine.
Exactly.
I reflexively put my hands in my pockets now when I'm looking at a really nice car.
Oh, it's funny because we do all degrees.
Yeah.
All of the degrees are done in costume. So, they have elaborate costume. So he takes us up to their costume room, which is probably 50 feet long by 20 foot wide. And they have all the costumes in these, it's all been redone. And it's beautiful, but they have, for each degree, each of the 29 degrees, they have a costume closet. And then they have all of
Fancy.
the accoutrement in other
Accoutrement.
and others, but they have all the swords and they have all the sashes and all that. And so we're walking through, and he's opening up cabinets, and here's for the 28th degree, and here's for the, and I'm enjoying it. My sister, my mother, are just like, oh my God. They have a makeup room with 4 traditional, the large, nice barber chairs,
Ooh.
full wigs, full makeups, a full studio set of makeup with the mirrors and the lights and the whole 9 yards. These guys go full on, full tilt boogie when they do their reunions, and it was a hoot for me because I got to walk through it, and he's like, well, let me show you this. He takes us down into the basement to show us the dining, and it's a ballroom that's the size of the building.
I imagine like Harry Potter, all ornate.
You're walking through, and it's like, and then he takes me, he says, let me show you this. This is the ladies' lounge over here. The ladies, like, this is the men's lounge over here. It's the old library.
Here's where the dudes hang out. This is for the ladies.
And then he's telling me, he said, now let me show you this. And so we go, and there's a conference room, which is another one of the gentlemen's lounges. But on the other side of the conference room is a bar, a full bar. And so they can't sell liquor, but everybody can go ahead and just kind of throw money in the bucket, and they always keep the place stocked. And I looked at him and said, I'm trying to get them to do that. Yeah.
If it's a donation.
You're donating to the launch.
If you're donating, you're not purchasing it. Well,
nope.
How much is each beer? Well, it's a $3 donation, Phil.
Well, we're sitting there talking. I'm like, I'm trying to do that at my Scottish Rite Lodge, but I want to have the cigar room. He says, yeah, we used to have cigars too.
It's weird now that there's so few people smoking and that you don't find cigarette butts everywhere. Not that I'm advocating for people to throw cigarettes on the butts on the ground. That actually infuriates me. But now it's like you've seen it so much that now that you don't see it, it's weird. Like this year has been very suspiciously thin of cicadas. This isn't a complaint because sometimes you don't want to hear for like 6 months straight, but they're not. I've only heard them like a day ago, which normally you start hearing them at the end of May until like September. And it's not that they're screaming. It's a membrane in their head that they vibrate, and it makes the noise, and they're trying to attract
Wasn't it last year? Wasn't it last year or the year before that was the 7-year cycle when they went?
17.
Okay, 17 years, because we had the biggest explosion of them at that point, so now we're back on the lull. So it's like, great, my grandkids get to learn what this shit is when it happens. Where did all these come from? Every 17 years, you little boogers.
What I'm really sad of is some of my earliest memories are catching lightning bugs in Pennsylvania. And now they're talking about they may become extinct because of all of the pesticides and a human interaction. And that kind of sucks because as a child, there's something magical about all of a sudden there's just a light in the darkness for a brief moment. What the hell was that? Is it a fairy? Is it a monster? Is it a, kind of angler fish type of thing that's going to eat the children? And you used to catch them, and then you put them in a jar, and then, of course, they would die in a day or two but that's gone now, or going to be gone now, and that makes me terribly, terribly sad. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to bum everybody out. But, yes, Guy, Rob, thank you. I feel like amazing, not just cutting up the body and not just getting all the battle wounds for all of this is
Yep.
And I was telling him,
we know what you're talking about.
Oh no, I'm old now. I keep forgetting that I'm not, I don't have that layer of fat underneath my body that I used to that'll protect me from bump and bruise. Now it's just, oh no, I'm bleeding. I remember being a
Bill, you're
kid.
becoming a member. You're becoming a member of a team that me and Rob knows all too well.
Oh,
The battle scars and stuff, the
yeah.
nicks, the burns and stuff on it.
Well,
Welcome to the family.
thank you, thank you,
Because
thank you.
we know about that.
Now
We know
comes
about
the
it.
next part when we measure the roof and swap one for the other. Did you see today's videos?
Yeah, I saw you doing it. I had a question on that one. The one that you're taking the roof off, okay, is that the one going on the frame, or is the other one going on that frame? The one that you cut up the Suburban with?
Well, the other one was going on the frame, but now the other one's going on a different frame because now Pete wants that frame, and he can have it because the
Okay.
frame he's giving me it's in better condition, and he offered to
Oh,
buy the frame off of Joe, and Joe told him no, I was going to give it to Bill. It's free, and Joe was like, I thought you were getting it, and it's like, well, I was getting it until he saw it. Now he wants it, so I'm not getting it anymore. I'm getting another one, but
Oh, okay.
the other one is in better condition, so it's okay. It's all relative.
Oh, okay, good. For a second there, I'm like, oh no, you just tore it all apart and you lost the frame because
No,
that was the
no.
whole point of it. So,
Well-
so the other one is going on that frame,
Yeah,
not the one with the bad roof.
one. Yeah, yes, the 1 ton is
Good.
going on a. We could just put the differential on there from the Sierra, and we could put one of the Bronco front ends onto that half-ton panel truck, the 48 GMC. The 47, no, that I want to put a Suburban frame on that. I don't plan on towing, or well, I plan on towing with it, yes, but I don't plan on I'd like
So
to have it
what
on a
I'm
heavy-duty frame.
So the one that I saw, the one that rolled over, the one that you bought,
Yeah,
that one is staying on that frame.
yes.
So you're okay. Good. Okay. Ooh, good. For a second there, I got my mixed up because I was like,
No,
don't cut
you're
the
fine.
top off because I was thinking you were going to put that onto the other frame. I'm like, don't cut the top off until you put it on the frame because
Yeah.
that body would just fall apart. But if it's staying on that frame, yeah, then gusset it up.
Rob suggested putting it on one of the other Blazers, which I'm still like, that's still a huge idea. But if I can just keep
Along
the
as the width
frame
is,
and huh?
well, along as the size and it will go underneath of it. It just you got to look at where the tires will land because some trucks, depending on the length of the frame, you want to measure like what Rob says from tire to tire to make sure that it will go underneath there. But sometimes what happens when you switch a frame that your length of your wheelbase changes, and sometimes what happens will no longer work because when you get a half ton, 3/4 ton, full ton, and stuff, you can have the same frame, but where the wheels are pushed can be pushed back in the back of the train like a semi truck.
Yeah.
Sometimes the back wheels can be moved further back for towing. So you always measure the wheels. If they're the same like the other frame, then you're good. Then you're just moving money miles. If they change, that means you got to change the purchase of where the wheels are at and maybe move the rear axle back or forward or redo that. And that just adds another complexity issue.
No, for the longest time I was like, will a Suburban frame fit on the panel truck? And Pete was like, no, no, no. And then one day he's like, you know what? Let's just measure it. And we measured the 1-ton big green 47, my big, the one I want to make a tow pig out of. And then we measured the Suburban, and he's like, son of a bitch, I'll be damned. It's the same length. The swap, with a lot of modification, the swap will work. Now, I don't need all the modern amenities, so is putting a 454 in there really worth it? Nah, we can get away with a 350 and a 350 trans and set it all up. I don't need to have it super awesome. It's not going to be racing. I would rather use it because the main thing is I could probably do more towing with with my old man's F-150 now that the freeze plug has been replaced. But you're still got the F-150 with its 4-prong adapter, and you're trying to plug the brand new 7-prong adapter in. It's the wrong orgy. Sorry to say. So it's
Oh,
easier.
Yeah,
you throw a nice 14 bolt or a Dana 70 in the back of a 3/4 or 1 ton
it'll hold.
Suburban, and it's going to tow anything you want, and that frame is going to be much stronger. So with that, you can tow a heavier load than you can with the F-150. So you run that Suburban chassis, and if you want to get crazy, I can show you how to box that frame so that the rear of that frame becomes incredibly rigid and stiff, and it'll be able to tow. You could tow 10 to 12,000 pounds and not think twice about it, even with the 350. If we geared the rear axle, and you built a nice 350 transmission, we set that up right.
Yeah.
You would be able to tow anything you would want. Maybe not 75 miles an hour up Sunset Point, but you'll get to the top of Sunset Point without it falling apart.
No, the transmission for the 1-ton panel is inside the panel truck. He had me pick it up and put it in there, and the engine is in the Connex, safe from the elements, waiting for. But I still got to get all the pieces and parts and tubes and wires and all my
That's
tubes and
easy.
wires.
That's easy.
For
Yeah.
what you want to do, that's easy. We're like we told you, Bill, you're 5 wires and battery and a 1-gallon fuel jug and a 4-barrel carburetor away from having that thing driving around out there all on its own.
Oh my God! I need
We
both
can
of you
do
out there.
that.
Come on.
That's a short trip.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're not asking for it to do anything else. Later on, if you want to
Maybe.
hang power steering, well, that's 8 more bolts and an additional belt and pulley and 2 hoses, and you've now got power steering if it's got a power steering box.
Okay, I do want power steering for the one I'm going to be towing with. Not having power steering for the 66, that's one thing because I can tow with that, but I don't
Well,
plan on towing with that.
it's simple, Bill. It's is the frame that you're getting. It just makes sure it's got a gearbox that has the power steering connectors to it, and make sure that it's sealed when you get it, that it don't get water or rust in it, so you don't have to rebuild it. But if the Suburban or the truck that you get it from had power steering on it, means it already has the power steering gearbox in it.
Yeah.
So if the frame that you're getting,
If it doesn't, I bet we could find a box out there that we could go ahead and retrofit into it. And you can get a rebuild kit for a power steering for a traditional Saginaw box, not that expensive. And most of it, as long as the primary and the sector shaft are not damaged, the rest of it is putting in bushings, bearings, balls. You're resealing it. You're cleaning it up, putting it back together, resealing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost fell off of my chair the last time I went into a mechanic shop with my 96 Dodge 2500 because the guy kept telling me I needed a new power steering. I said, well, just adjust it. Adjust the sector shaft, the primary shaft. We'll tighten it up and it'll work. Well, how do you do that? What? So the old timer that was running the shop shook his head, and he and I went out and held a little quick clinic on how to adjust the primary shaft and the sector shaft.
Here's what you do.
And it's like, this is all you have to do, and you can get another 50,000, 100,000 miles out of it if you haven't destroyed the box. If the bearings are not destroyed, because it's designed to be adjusted.
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that, and they come up and they get slop on it, not realizing it could be adjusted, and people sell them a box, and I tell them, well, you can get a rebuild kit for it. And they look at me like, what? Yeah, there's a rebuild kit for it and stuff on it. And they'll have play on it, and it'll cause slop and cause the steering to move, but you just have to adjust it. As long as the gearing is not stripped, as long as they didn't wallow it out, make it an egg shape, you can rebuild those and go back into them and just,
No, I was always afraid that you couldn't do certain stuff, but now, after the last couple years, anything's possible. And especially, I moved in here February 1st, 1997. So I've been living next to Rick almost 30 years, and I watched him build that Nova. He Didn't even have wheels on it when he brought it in on a trailer. And he sandblasted it, and each and every part, and built it from scratch. That's what I want to do. You know, it's a good hobby to be rebuilding vehicles and getting them back on the road. I've been looking at 302 engines and transmissions for Fords. There's one out of a Bronco in Chandler because, well, I need 5 of them, don't I? 4 of them.
But the good thing with the hot rods, you can stick any engine in it. It really doesn't matter.
Well, what?
It really doesn't matter. You can throw the book out and you could put in a newer 4-cylinder. You could put an Ecotec if you want to get crazy. Whatever engine you come across with cheap.
Oh no!
If you can make it work,
Jesus, what's wrong with you? No. Okay, you're trying to talk me out of a 302? Like Pete's trying to go all electric. It's like, dude, we're in the middle of the desert.
No.
That's a terrible idea.
Don't go electric.
I mean, the technology's coming along, but heat is still a factor. It's been 106 all fucking week when it isn't 110. Electric just isn't gonna. I'm sorry, unless you got a garage. But
have some fun. Get a 4BT.
Huh?
Get the little 4BT Cummins, the new 4BT Cummins, and a compound turbo on.
Yeah.
So you got this 4-cylinder with a compound turbo, and people ask you, well, how much horsepower do you have? Oh, I've only got about 300 horsepower. Really? Yeah, but I've got 900 foot-pounds of torque. You want to watch it peel the tires?
You've got so many horsepower, but just hold on. Hold on.
That's it.
You got your seatbelt on?
Now, horsepower is how fast you hit the wall.
Yeah.
Torque is how far you take the wall with you.
Oh, cool. So I can't wait to see the new frame that you're going to be getting now. Means new possibilities. Woo!
Well.
And you got all the parts off of that Suburban one taken off. So that'll still help you. The engine harness and all that stuff.
Yes. Well, he wants to.
Good.
Oh, it's really nice. He got a front clip with the hood and the cab and the doors and the mirrors, and it's a 6400 Chevy. And I think it's a 52 or a 54. It's that generation of 47 to 54 looking, and it's not the one we have. It's the other Chevy grill where it just says Chevrolet on the hood, and the rest of it kind of looks like a GMC because it's a larger truck. That's what he wants to put on the frame, and then sell that for I think he wants $4,400 for it. And dude, let me clean up the frame, and you can get it because somebody will go, awesome, you've already done that much work. I don't need to do it.
Holy crap! If you wanted to do that and get some money, he could have put back the 454 in it, just get it up and running and drive it, and you can make bank because you put that truck on there, you put a running and driving engine in it, back into it, and you could sell that truck for more because then it's a workable chassis.
I agree.
Then somebody would be okay.
I agree with you 100%. But the 454 and trans belongs to Joe, and Joe's son wants the 454 for a blower motor engine. He's building some kind of hot rod.
Oh, okay. I see what he's getting. Okay. Okay.
One of Joe's sons grows weed on an industrial level in New Mexico. The other son, who I've actually met, and the grandson, he's a BMW mechanic. And he's got an acre or two, and he's like Joe, where he's got 20 BMWs.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, Joe's got the 84 Suburban, then there's a dually, then there's the thing that makes me cry the most is there is a tow truck out there, but the engine's blown. And instead of repairing it and get it running, they just pile stuff on top of it, and it belongs to Joe. Then he's got an 84 K-car Reliant. I'm like, dude, if we're doing an 80s cop or FBI movie, this is perfect. Otherwise, this is a $600 car for a first-time driver. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd love to have this for my youngest kid when he wants to learn how to drive, and this would be great. Because if you destroy it, oh well. But he bought that car to put the transmission in an Astro minivan And then he's got, oh crap, the name just went out of my head. It's an AMC. It's a late 80s or an early 90s. It's a little compact sports car. It's in a
An
couple.
Eagle or a
No,
Concorde?
no. Keep going. It's like a
A
little hatchback.
Reliant?
No, it's not. No, that's
Well, they
that's a
had the
four-door.
Javelin.
Might be I think it's a Javelin. I think you're right.
Yeah, the Pacer was the little one.
Oh God, it's not a Pacer. That's a bubble.
Yeah.
They have the Matador too, but that's a
Listen,
two-door car.
it's
Gremlin?
not a Gremlin.
Well, no,
It's not a
Matador.
Pacer. I think it's a Javelin, but it's like the later model. Oh God, Pete and I were
Or
talking.
Matador or
But well, the Reliance transmission is for the minivan, but really the minivan is for storage. So you're not really replacing.
wait a minute. The Reliant is front-wheel drive, right?
You're the guy. You're the Zen master.
Yeah, the K cars were all front wheel drives.
I'm
That
pretty
was the
Okay, so it's got to be for a minivan. Then it's got to be for a Chrysler minivan because it can't be for a Chevy product because it's not the same
It's
transmission.
an Astro.
So it's got to be like for a one of those. Then it would work. Yeah, then it would match up.
Because okay, my
Like a Chrysler
one-ton
minivan.
panel truck, and then there's a 58 cab or a 56 cab, and then across that there's Joe's cab over, and then next to it is the car we're talking about, and then a minivan.
so yeah, it would have to be a Chrysler minivan, like
He-
you're saying, because
he bought
you-
the Reliant to replace the transmission in the minivan.
yeah. So it would be Chrysler, or it'd be any of the Chrysler series, the Dodge Caravan, Chrysler Caravan, any of those.
Yeah.
things.
You two would know. I've never worked
Yeah.
on any of that stuff in passing.
Those
'Cause
were
you can-
fun to hot rod too.
Yeah, because the only reason why I looked at that because when you said Astro, I looked at it and go, well, you realize that some Astro vans are all-wheel drive with a V6, and you could take that whole suspension out of it and put it in an S10 pickup and create a Cyclone or a Typhoon.
Yep.
It's an all-wheel drive suspension. All you have to do is change gearing, so you can make yourself a cheap, hidden street monster out of an Astro van, an all-wheel drive Astro van.
Like your,
You stick a 2.3 or you get a 4.6 little 350 in it, and you can have a monster all-wheel drive.
like your station wagon.
Take on those GTRs and stuff. Go nuts.
No, what? Pete and I had a long discussion about it, and he was like, what are you going to do next? Are you going to get Chevy engines? And I said, honestly, I've been shopping Ford 302s that are rebuilt. So a rebuilt 302 is about $1,300 and change, not including the trans. However, on eBay, they're hundreds of dollars. But you got to drive there. You got to hope the guy has a picker or a winch or a forklift, and you don't know what kind of nightmare you're buying. But if you're planning on rebuilding it anyway, the biggest nightmare is the cracked block. So what makes more sense? Well, it makes more sense to buy the rebuilt one from a factory and then they can just deliver it out there. Or it makes more YouTube and Rumble sense to buy the used engine and make multiple videos about getting them to run again. Because I have not been very successful with the 235. Then again, I don't know what I'm doing, but 235s are supposed to be indestructible according to Mordsky and Jennings and all the other crazy guys I watch that bring engines back to life. So I haven't given up on that. I still pound on it now and again. I still pour stuff down there. Half synthetic oil did absolutely no change. Science experiment number 35.
Well, the only point to it, if you're not able to crank it by hand, you may have to flip that thing over and check the con rods, the connecting rods on the bottom, and see if they're not rusted to the crank.
You know, you're retired. You could come over and instruct me on what to do at any time. Here's another bad part. I took the bolts off, and they were 11/16 for the engine stand that I got from Paul that he used for his Fiesta when he and his dad rebuilt the engine for that. So I went into Ace Hardware because I'm missing a bolt somewhere on the other one, and I think I got the bolts don't fit. So
You didn't try the little thing on it and match the thread pattern and the type, the grade on it. Next time when you go, take me and we'll match it and we'll look for grade A bulk steel
Labor
on it to hold the weight of it.
free! Okay.
Yeah. Then that way we could put it on and get with it on it. We're gonna go one day, one Sunday. If I'm busy, we're gonna knock this out. We'll knock it out.
You may not
We'll
be
get
able
that.
to do it with your back, but you could, because this is the whole thing with Pete and Joe. I want you to learn. Okay, I'm trying to learn, but you have to give me guidance. There's only I'm a great tech, but I'm not an engineer yet. Also, here's the interesting thing about car geeks, and this includes even you two, all of you. Not so much Rob, because you're way more optimistic, but what I have found fascinating, and I guess it crossovers over to comic book people too, in a sense, where I've done all this amazing stuff. Well, I want to do this. Well, you can't do that. That's crazy talk. What are you talking? Hey, you can't do that. But so they can't wait to tell you the miracles they've performed. But when you bring up your own miracle, like the roof, for example, or a lot of the other scenarios, it's you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it for 2 years now. And now finally that I've got the roof, we're ready to go, baby. We're just going to weld that fucker on there. Now all of a sudden, it's not going to look the same. Is that the reason that you guys have been saying that it can't be done all this time? Well, yeah. If you take a Suburban roof and put it on a panel truck, it's not going to look original. Have you seen the roof that's on it? We're so fucking past original. Oh my God. And then they laughed at me and it was like, oh, okay, you don't give a crap about it. Like, look, the 1 ton 47, let's keep that original as possible. This 48 that I started with, dude, it was rolled over. It's been shot 4 times. The one side is kinked. The upper top is fucked. The sides, it's not going to look the same when we're finished. It's okay. Let's just have fun with it, but let's please get it back on the road. Because Pete wants to cut it like a truck, weld the extremely rare back doors together and cut them, which his idea sounds really cool. But not with mine. Oh my God. And then meeting Philip and working with Philip out there, and Philip's in several of the videos that we've done. My father and I worked on the 66 and the 48 before he died. So those vehicles are priceless and can never be sold. They don't have a value because these are the last corporeal items that he messed with me together in a creative sense. So they're up there with items that the kids gave me from, okay, I'm going to embarrass the oldest child. They're up there with this. This is one of my most prized possessions. The extra camera will make it. Hannah was very, very young and making mobiles. Dad, do you want a mobile? Yes. Do you want a mobile of all the cats? That would be great. So instead of, it's just one picture. This is one of my most prized possessions.
It's awesome.
And it's the same kind of thing. Even though it's a crapola vehicle and all of you shake your head and why are you wasting your time with this? Like Bill came in the other, why are you wasting your time cutting all the... Dude, I'm having a blast. And in a sense, I'm working with my dad. He's here with us because he touched this vehicle.
All I ask is don't let anybody else cut it, because the only thing is, and I'm sure Rob will shine in on it, is get a plan on how you want to section it and put it together. Weld up gussets and reinforcement. Weld them up before you alleviate that roof, because I don't want I don't want this to happen. I'm not saying that you can't do it, because you can do it. You can do it. I'm just saying have a plan and how you're going to do it, how you're going to execute it. Because what happens is when you cut the roof off, then what's going to happen is you cut structural support of the car. So what's going to happen? That thing will taco. That thing will come out an oil can on you. So what happens is then you can't put the new roof on because it's nothing secure that it can go onto. And even at that, you have to measure 3 or 4 times, see what the distance is, how you section it. So you got to look at it before you even cut the top of yours. You got to take the new roof and measure it how you want to put it on yours, and cut it and perform everything you need to do to it. So you swap it on and know where you need to cut, know the sections you got to put in. So all I say on that one is wait, be a little patient. Because here's the one thing that I've learned, and I don't want you to learn my mistake. Sometimes you go too fast into a project without really looking at it. That sometimes you cut stuff and you go, shit, I shouldn't have cut that. Now it made more work because now you got to backtrack to fix your mistake that you done. It didn't matter on the Suburban because you're cutting that thing up. You're taking those parts. You got the sheet metal. So now you got sheet metal. That works perfectly. But when you put it on, this is where math is going to come in. And this is where you have to be very, very aware of what you're doing and look at what you're doing and where you're cutting. So this is where you have to take your time and be patient. Because him saying weld the 2 doors and cut them, foolish idea. I would say, get away from the car. You have no idea what you're doing. Because what's going to do is he's cut first, measure later, and that never works. That never works. You got to have a plan.
No, Pete's a lot more methodical than that. I didn't want to. No. I'm more chaotic than he is. Where he's Guy, he and you actually have a lot of similarities. Where he's constantly telling me, slow down, remeasure it. It's. I don't want to say he's more like a older friend or a brother than he is. He's not my dad, obviously. He's not old enough. But I'm older than all 4 of his sons. We could only be brothers. But he's like, you get impatient and you get on a thing and you start going. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that my whole life. You're not the first person to tell me this. So
you need to get you some 1-inch tube or some angle iron. And that's where you make your struts. You make a top brace and an X brace at the right behind the doors, the front doors. You do the same thing about midway back, and then you weld a brace across the top or inside on the back 2 barn doors so that they stay closed. But you're just putting tacks in there. And the idea is the barn doors are going to keep the back where it needs to be. You put a mid brace in, that keeps the center from falling in. And then you put braces behind the front doors, and that keeps that section from falling in. Then you can take the whole roof off, and you're able to work with it without fighting yourself, like Guy's saying.
Stop freezing.
It'll fold up like a tent.
I really don't want that.
It honestly, Bill, what I would do is if you have a come along or someplace on it and you can weld taps to it, maybe we try pulling the top over before you cut and trying to get it into position before you cut any of the body. Because remember, metal has a memory. So even though it rolled over, sometimes you can weld metal taps to the metal and use a come along and like a body jig, pull it back into position with some hammering and some dollying before you cut it. Because what happens is once you get it back towards where it is, it's more true. So sometimes you're not going to get all the metal back, but you want to get it closer to where it was originally so you can have those barn doors with it. That sometimes what happens is I'm hoping if you do that, just wait and do that. And we use a come along, we'll make a makeshift type of a frame puller and just do it little by little, pull the metal back, tap it down, pull the metal back, tap it down. That we can use the bars in the roof and rebend them back, that we can skin it and use that as a template instead of cutting those off completely off and chopping the whole top off, and do what Rob says, put it in there. So then you have a guideline of how to put it.
I think that we could salvage a good majority of those bars, the ribs that go across the top.
Yeah.
But we're going so far, I wouldn't mind making custom ones. And then that
But
way, go ahead.
but you have to make custom ones, and you have to
Oh,
understand the
yes, yes.
engineering of it. You have to
Oh,
understand the
oh,
engineering of it.
okay, Guy, I'm not so ignorant that I didn't. I want the ribs, whether we put the old ones back together, which a couple of them are super fucked up. There's just no way. But I would. What I was thinking, because, well, how long have both of you know me? I never stop thinking. It's fucking annoying. I wish it would end. It would be kind of cool if maybe we got all new ribs and they had holes in them that you could put S hooks and conduit in to hang whatever, you know, straps or clothes. Or I thought that would be a curtain. I thought that would be pretty cool because panel trucks are super basic. They're not. They were designed as delivery vehicles. So I always keep that in mind when working on this. And there's going to be stuff that we can fix and rebuild, and then there's just going to be stuff that we just straight need to buy. And that's the delivery sedan is way worse off, trust me. I was looking at it today going, oh my God, there's no rocker on the bottom of the passenger side. It's just not there. Wonder if I
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sheet metal work and stuff and patching it in, but it all can be done. You got to look at it that you don't want to make more work than what it is, and you got to use what you got. So what you got to think about it when you build a car is you don't throw anything away because you never know when you're going to need it later. You never throw it away because the minute you do, the minute you have to get it back costs you twice as much, and it eats you up in time. And second of all, those beams, you don't want to put too much holes in them because they are a structural for that roof. So what happens is they have release stuff in it. You can always add that to the top, to the headliner. You can always add hooks and everything to it. There's where you can make provisions for that. But for that structure, if you take one of them out, you make sure you grind it. You don't cut it out. You strip it. You take where the welding is, and you grind the rivets and where they're welded. You cut and try to take the whole piece out so you can take it and replicate it. Yeah. Then that way me and Rob can take a look at it and see what gauge of metal it is and on it.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you can make hoops.
Hoops are good. We're past restoring. We're into having a fun project. The 1 ton is a resto up until the point that we put it on the new Suburban chassis and frame. Then it's no longer a resto, but I'd rather have it's when Charlie did the wiring harness for the 66, he was constantly on me about, I'll leave this here for the power steering. I'll leave this here for maybe in the future. Oh, you want air conditioning? Maybe in the future. Dude, I'm not going to be driving the 66 every day. It's a weekend truck. I'm going to slowly put it back together, put it in pristine. But I'm totally down to listen to both of you for all the extra accoutrement for the 47 and the 48 because you don't have to live in the past with every vehicle.
No. But here's the thing I'm going to say to you, buddy. With the work that you're doing on the roof of it, and I would say you would have to make a roll cage for that. You're going to have to build it to the chassis and put a roll cage in it in case of a rollover. Yes, for that, because the body is going to be compromised either way you look at it. We're going to rebuild it and so forth. So it's going to have flex. We can do it the best we can, but the weld's going to break at the weakest point. Anything's going to break at its weakest point. So in case of flex, in case rollover or anything, I would put a roll cage in it that goes from the front hoop, like where Rob was talking, all the way towards the back and stuff. So any event that thing flips on its side or flips on its top, it's not coming down and pancaking.
I am not afraid of all of the work that we are going to have to do with all of these.
What I mean, I'm just letting you know, because that has to be thought of in the design and when you're building it, that you're doing this as a secondary measure in case of rollover and stuff, because now you're compromising the roof. You're changing its, how could I say, it's an initial structure, because that thing was designed like an egg. So it's designed to take inertial forces and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why, look, they rolled it on its top and it didn't pancake. So it shows true testament to the design. It didn't go flat, but it did take the brunt of the force. So when you cut it off, you got to release the stress in the metal. So when you do the new roof, I would put a roll cage in it, and I would put a roll cage behind that driver, around here on the front with it, and tie it down into the frame. You might have to go through the bed or something, so it can hold out weight if it flips.
I like Rob's idea of using like angle iron or 1-inch channel, where we.
Well, to hold the body structure, but when you go to cut the roof, you're going to put X braces and then a straight brace across the top. The idea is that the straight brace at the top keeps the body sides falling in or falling out. The X brace gives it rigidity so that the whole thing doesn't try to move. If you put a single brace across the top, then it's going to be willing to move everything one way or the other. So you put the one brace across the top to keep it from falling in. You put the X brace in, and that keeps it from moving from side to side. Once you've got that, that's a temporary structure that goes in place until you can put the roof back on the vehicle. What Guy's talking about is building a cage. Now, you can build a full cage, which is one hoop, just one continuous piece of pipe that's a hoop behind the doors, behind the front doors. You can build a middle hoop that goes in, and then a back hoop. The nice thing about that, you then run each of the hoops, and then you run a stretcher along the top. And what that gives you is now you've got something to anchor the body to, and it makes it easier for you to clean up that body. Because now you can build whatever the profile is you'd like it to be, and you can lay the metal up against that frame now, and it'll hold it in place for you. When you go to put the roof on, then now you're setting the roof on top of this structure that you built to hold it in place, and it can match the basic profile. Now you go ahead and weld that into the body section. You can attach it to that cage as well, and now it's going nowhere. The nice thing about that is once you've built that cage, now you can add anything to the interior. You can attach all of the little points that you want. You can put a piece. You could take a piece of tubing. We could take a piece of square tube, and then we can punch speed holes in it. The easy way, you can just do that with a drill, and you can run that across. Now that's something that people look at and they go, "Oh, that's really cool." That's the bomber influence that everybody liked.
Bomber or
late 40s, early 50s.
Steampunk, yeah.
Exactly. But that becomes easy. And then you don't need a heavy piece of material. You can get very thin walled steel tubing. We can go to any of the metal shops and go out and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this much metal. What do you got in the cutoff pile?" "Oh, come on out. We charge a hell of a lot less for the cutoffs. Yeah. Come here."
Hell yeah, they do.
This is only $2 a foot. A full stick is going to cost you $4 a foot. Well, I'll take this one.
It opens up so much possibilities with that when you put it, and it's going to be much more safer, and it'll give the truck much more rigidity to it, especially with the old frame that you got on it, just for it is, and it gives you local points with it. So if you build, think of the race cars. They build a roll cage in it. So in case the race car flips over on its top or flips end over end, the person doesn't die in it. Well, you're technically building not to the full extent, but you're building a roll cage, and you're building underneath. Well, the top is going to come off at one time or another. You can build a roll cage, put the top on it, like Rob was saying, because then you can get the welds all the way around it, and then when you're ready to weld the top, you weld the top onto it. Well, that's a secondary set of security. So if the top buckles, the cage is not going to. And it's another point basically with it, and it also centers it so you don't accidentally move the top like this when you weld it. or like this, and slightly ajar it. You can use it as a centering agent and use it to locate your ideas where to weld and where to gusset and so forth on it. So you could use it as a point of reference because you build that first before you cut the top off. Cut the top off, then it holds the body together with the angled irons. Then you can put the top on it.
I'm glad we're talking about this. And Stella's here to get cat hair all over me and my new shirt. Oh, sorry, Stella. I love you, baby. So, I kind of like to keep the very front and the very back the way they are. Only because the very front is kind of already set up and it's 2 sheets of glass with the strip in down the middle, and that's 47, 48, all the way up to about 50.
Well, you can change that if you wanted to, because the way to build the B pillars are on the new Suburban versus yours. It's not the same size. You couldn't use that in even if you wanted to.
Oh, come on. You could refabricate something and weld it on there. And
no, it's the width. The width of it, the cowling. The cowling on your truck is narrow compared to the one of the Suburban is more box. Because remember, you have a box type of car. So your cap goes to a V. The old Suburban is more like a box. So those pillars go further out than your windshield does. So what happens is you don't have the base for it. You would have to open your cab up a little bit more.
Well, I was looking at both of them a long time over the last 2 weeks, and you have to keep the back end like it is for the doors to operate correctly. And these doors, there's no repops with these doors. Now, the back doors, I have 2, and for each vehicle. That's it. The side doors, dude, how many do you want? Pete and Judy have like 40, 50 doors. Which year do you want? Do you want them with wings? That comes out from 52 to 54. So,
well, I think you're misunderstanding how to cut the top off when I'm referring to it versus what you're thinking. Because you're thinking literally to cut the mounts and everything completely off. I'm not talking about that.
No. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm talking about skinning the top.
Yeah, I stopped myself today, and after listening to Pete, after I decided to stop, and Joe and the 2 of you, you've all said basically the same thing, where it needs to be secured before you just hack it off. But I can hack the 84 Suburban off, but I need to use the forklift. But all of a sudden it's gift of the Magi. I can't use the forklift until Joe got the engine all ripped out, which I was there for 80% of that procedure. And at the end of the day today at around, I think 10:30, quarter to 11, finally we were both like, I've had enough fun today. I'm done. And I brought him a heavy-duty pallet. He brought a spare tire. But you need the forklift to take the engine and transmission out before I can use the forklift, which is going to be tomorrow, I have to lift up the Suburban husk, cut out the rear lights, and then I can cut off the rest of the roof. The question is, like you were just both talking about, do I cut the A poles at the top or at the bottom?
Your A pillars, you're not going to cut the pillars themselves. You're going to keep the entire windshield frame on that truck.
So at the bottom, you're
panel.
saying?
No, I'm not. On the panel truck, when you go to take the roof skin off, leave the entire thing in place. You cut behind where the top of the windshield A pillar. You cut back of that.
That's because
you leave the A pillars in place, everything in place.
But when we replace the A pillars, are we replacing the whole thing?
You're not replacing the A pillars. You're leaving the A pillars in place.
I understand what Bill's getting confused because he's thinking cut the top off and weld a new one to it, and he's not understanding. Let me rephrase it. You're not cutting the top off. You're going to skin the top. Because what Rob's referring to, you're going to keep the structure, but you're going to take the sheet metal that's on the top of it off. You're going to break it free from the structure. You're going to use the metal from this one, and what you're going to do is release it from the structure underneath of it, but keep the metal on top. The only reason why you want to cut further down is you want to leave the top corners just in case if you want to make relief cuts later. You want to keep the metal. You want to keep as much metal as you want.
Yeah.
Then once you skin the top, which means you take all the supports from underneath of it, you leave the sheet metal. Then you take the sheet metal, and what you have to do is hammer and dolly it. And that's why I was talking with Rob. Those frames that go up underneath it,
Yeah.
you replace
bones.
those first, or you get them made. Then you start putting them on there. So when you start taking the top off, you put the new ones in. Then you take the new top and form it in place of the old one.
Yeah.
Then you hammer and dolly it, and it keeps the form of the old truck. So what you're doing is you're not putting a new roof. You're not cutting it off. You're not welding this on like a hole. You're using just the sheet metal, and you're grafting it onto the top. But since you're cutting it off, you're fixing the parts where it's bent.
Yeah. Well,
When
for
you
one,
take it off, you put
I
supports.
I didn't get a chance to measure it today because I was helping Joe. And at one point, I went over there and I started cutting, and I'm like, "This is pointless. I need the forklift." But
Yeah.
the
To lift it up
Suburban
and-
is wider than the panel truck, so I'm gonna have
Yep.
to go down all the. But that gives me some insight because the driver's side is fine. The passenger side is kinked on the inside behind the door.
Well, that's fine. But what I don't want you to do, the reason why you want to cut further down is you don't want to crumple the roof trying to lift the top off of it. You want to do it easily and evenly as possible. But remember, it's metal. It's gonna move. It's gonna want to move on it. So you don't want to tear and wrinkle the move. What you really need to do, Bill, you need to watch videos on how restorations are done and reconstruction of old cars. Look how they skin a roof. You need to watch videos. I emphasize, you need to
Find me
watch.
some. I've been watching a lot of them, dude.
Dude, watch ones where they're coming in. They have the guy. I'll try to send you the link where he's restoring a Camaro like mine, and he skinned the roof because it had rust on it. But he left the structure there. He didn't cut the whole roof completely off. He cut the sections of it and he grafted it. But he shows you how to do it to keep the body there on it. Now his was more severe because he actually had to cut into the A pillar because the A pillar was rusted. So his is a far more issue on it. But it shows about skinning the roof and putting quarter panels on.
Yeah.
So when you understand about putting quarter panels on, quarter panels, you do it in a certain way. There's stuff that you got to go through, and you got to go through the rivets. You got to lay them down. You got to separate the metal. You just can't blindly cut and go because it will bite you in the butt big time. So we have to look at it and see how the plan of attack is because we're going to use the metal off that Suburban for the metal on that one. Then what happens is you're going to have to metal work it, cut reliefs, cut it in, pie cuts, and weld it up and put it together. Since you haven't seen collision work, you haven't seen people doing that where they're really cutting into the car, you have to really get in those videos on how to restore it and look. Because otherwise, if you did, you would understand when Rob was saying about skinning it, you would understand the reference. And when you didn't, I went, uh-oh.
Well,
it's a whole different process.
The problem, too, is that this is kind of a case-specific scenario. They don't make panel truck
but the steps
roofs.
But the steps are the same, Bill. That's what you don't understand. There's protocol and steps that you do. Regardless of the car, the body work is still the same. You got to look at it the same way. Structure, what got to do, what you got to temp. So what happens? Regardless of the car, people look at the quarter panels the same way. Is it epoxied? Where's the joints? Where is it mount? When you take the car apart?
Evil Bondo.
Well, you look at it the same way. So that's why I say you got to look at parts, not the fluff restoration. I mean videos where they show you where people have to go into the car and they cut away at certain things like with a knife, like a scalpel. They trim it and they trim and they trim. They put it on, then put it on and take it off, put it on before they weld because they're getting everything perfect to make sure it goes on right. Because with parts, you have a little give and take.
Yeah.
And the little give and take here in this corner, by the time you get to this corner, becomes exceptional.
Yes.
If you're off a quarter of an inch here, by the time you run the panel down, you'd be more off in an inch and a half by the end of it. So this is where it gets real important that you got to measure and look at it, because it compounds. Mistakes compound itself. That I've seen people where they welded on quarter panels and they didn't take that into account, and the car looks like it's shifted because they didn't take it back out of it to sync it up. And it becomes noticeable because then you look at it. I wish I could show you pictures of cars where people did that, and you go, "Oh my god!" And you look at it, and once you see it, you're like, "It doesn't look right. It doesn't line up." That's just what I mean. You got to take your time and look at it, and do structure at it before you take the roof off, so you have the best chance of completing the roof and getting it done. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but it's something that you got to really plan out.
There's some serious steps, even after all the body work that has to be done on that 48. The roof needs to be done. The bottom pan needs to be replaced. The firewall, because my dad was even saying, we could probably buy a knockoff floor panel, but we don't need another firewall. You and I can replace that. So he was already planning on doing the TIG MIG, that little trick with the, what is it, a brass? Rob knows what the hell I'm talking about.
I know.
Kind of brazing some stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would weld everything in with the MIG welder.
And honestly, Bill, what I would do with that one, and you said something interesting, and this could come bite you in the butt, is that I would get rockers in it and put the rockers in first before you cut that thing up. I would fix the floors in it first before you ever take a cut-off wheel to that top.
Yeah, the rockers in the 48 are actually not that bad. It's the pan. Remember, this thing was on its back, as opposed to like you're going to ask me, like everyone did, why did you buy the 47 Ford delivery sedan, the one right next to it? Because the roof on the 48, maybe GMC may be messed up, but there's so much more damage on the 48 or 47 delivery sedan.
Well, I'm hoping that by you putting in the floors, it gives you the wherefore and a little bit of idea of the metalworking that you need to accomplish the roof. Because even for me, that's a tall task. I'm just saying it's a tall task, and it's going to be something that once you start, you got to keep going until you finish.
Never surrender.
And it's something that you got to make sure step, because I don't want you to wind up scrapping that truck because you go to the part where you cut it so much it becomes structurally unsafe.
I think if I go out there tomorrow and I'll clean up the frame for the Suburban, and then afterwards I'll start working on the 48. But I already... What if we made the inside of the 48 panel truck look like the early Buster Crab, Flash Gordon, his main spaceship, where everything kind of looks like the Nautilus, but it's not the Nautilus. It's more H.G. Wells and Verne. So I'm already sold in your hoop ideas, and if we have to do those first...
But what I'm saying is, you could have to do them anyway. So it's not something that I'm saying. It's just that, buddy, I love you. You have to do it to make sure that
I'm agreeing
all the work is done. all the work is done.
Yeah.
But I want you to cut your teeth on something easier before cutting your teeth on that. So the air going into it, like I said, I would do the floor. Because what happens?
Okay.
Dude, you have to learn to do it.
Hold on. Okay. Then I'm already planning on bringing the one that's in the best condition home. The 1948 two-door Ford sedan. It's in the best condition. I have a hood. I have the front fenders. I have the rear fenders. I have multiple dashes. I even have the bare bones seats for it. Even the gas tank. I just need a motor and a transmission. And like Lynn, the guy that sold it to me, he's like, this was next. This was the next car we were going to do. because
that makes sense.
the 48 coupe needs a firewall and a floor. And that's what they bought the other 47 for. But, you know, Joe told me that you can make a firewall out of an old wheelbarrow.
Well, the thing is, what happens if you realize that the cab of that Suburban that you had, you could have cut that out and used that as a firewall for that Ford.
We still have it.
Yeah. You could use that. It's a firewall.
I kind of went crazy in a couple places, but that can be fixed. We can fix that. That's not fix. That's a fix it. We can fix it.
But it's part where the hump where it is on it. You can cut that and use section to make a firewall. Yeah. So that stuff is, if once you get into cars, you know how to cannibalize a car when you see its potential when you build it, because you can use that sheet metal. So that firewall that you have on that Suburban can be used and utilized. It just that make sure you cut more metal than what you need, because it's easier to cut metal off than it is to add it. So even if it's bigger than what you have, you can trim it down to what you need to put it in. But if you cut it too small, then you have to add more metal to it.
Yeah.
So I would cut the whole firewall out.
Yeah.
Just to save it for that Ford.
This is why I'm excited now. I want to get the MIG-TIG thing running here. I need to get a 220 line. I feel like such an asshole, and I wish he was alive so I could apologize. But for decades, my father, I could put a 220 line right out there at the fuse box, at the breaker box. It'd be no problem. No, I don't want to make you do extra work. It's fine. Now, crap. I have a...
That's why they say hindsight is 20/20.
And I need... So once I get the compressor running, I can hook up the sandblaster and the sandblasting cabinet, because the little compressor just isn't enough. It's just not enough. But the big standalone one, as soon as I get that running, Harold has just been busy, because he's like, yeah, for $100 I can throw that in. I'm like, it's going to be easy. My dad not only rewired the fuse box that was there, he added an additional one for the, well, anyway. I don't want to be on record saying that I added to the house when, I don't know what happened. It was like this when we bought it.
When you get ready for the 47,
yeah,
because you're still doing the work on the frame and stuff, so continue with that, because it's good work, because it's still accomplishing what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's still accomplishing, you're still going. You're still going, so you're not running. When you get ready for the 47, the Ford, put all the good parts on it that you want to keep. The good seats, a good dash, all the gauges. Before you bring it to your house, put all, because it's going to save you money in transport. You put everything and hang it on the body. That way you load it up on the trailer. You know where everything is, because then it don't get lost. Put everything on it, build it up on it. Then when you get it there, then you go, okay, let's start looking at engines, and everything starts going quick.
Well, he wants to get more of our vehicles out of his yard, and I figured that if I was proactive and started getting my stuff out of the yard, that the other guys, and so far only Joe has really reciprocated with it. Bill and Dave don't really give a crap, and Phil, well, he only has like one vehicle out there, and he's got nowhere else to put it. It's on a trailer. It's not taking up any space. It's fine. Whereas
so he can get rid of it.
Yeah. The other guys have like multiple vehicles in different spots all over the place, and boats and shit. And because it's like I love Pete, because on one hand, you give me shit about a lot of stuff, but when something's about to happen, I'm the first person you call. Where is everybody else? Well, Joe's doing this, and Dave couldn't be here, and Harold's doing this, and Bill's doing that, and that. So I'm the only one stupid enough to show up, is what you're saying? That, and you're storing like 7, 8 of my vehicles. I can't really say no.
No, yeah, because all of a sudden you can be locked out from your vehicles and lose all of them.
Not that
you don't want it to turn ugly.
If he was a dick, he would do that, but you'd have to really piss Pete off for him to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't ever want it to get it to that point, but but it can. Just knowing that anybody can be pushed to that point for any stupid reason, and you don't
Oh.
know when it can go out.
Anybody can. I don't want to. One of the people in the inner circle, he's they got into a big thing, and it's like, okay, it has nothing to do with me, but even so, he's like, here, you earned this, because, dude, you did the work, you get paid, and then that became a thing, and it's like, girls, you're both pretty. Let's get past this.
Let's get past this, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you. I'm here for you, buddy. Just that within limits and stuff.
Within
I'm here
limits.
for you.
There we go.
Within limits.
I've already
the
dragged
thing-
Rob out there. You're next, guy. I want to get both of you out there. Now that okay, you've been listening to me talk about this for a while. We're getting closer to being there.
Yeah, which is true.
I broke
Which
five bolts off today. I didn't mean to.
You got to get it. You got to get that tap and die.
I got mad and then the bolts were on
Oh
the
man,
ground.
you gotta have to learn how to do a tap and die then. How to drill them out.
We're gonna have to rebuild the whole thing. And if I was the old man, I'd do it like we were in Mr. Plosier's class in the 7th or 8th grade doing shop at Desert Shadows Middle School. But we'll just have to kind of wing it. And I think it'll be fine. I think after we measure the inside and you get, I don't know, how many hoops do you guys think? 3? 4? You think 4 is excessive? You think 3 would be good?
It's not the hoops.
We're going for aesthetics now, guy. It's not just the hoops.
No, not the hoops. What not the hoops is you overlooked the one thing I said and you didn't catch it. Is that we got to try to pull the roof first before we cut it.
You've just been saying for the last 20 minutes that we have to make the hoops first before we even think about putting.
Yeah, but you don't understand it. What I said on it because you don't know bodywork is that. Remember the first thing I said? We got to try like in a collision. You got to think like in collision repair. Okay. Before we cut anything, before we put the hoops in it, because remember your top is over to an angle, it's up on it. We're going to have to go in a frame, like a frame puller, and pull, when I mean pull the roof back over center. That's the first thing we have to do before any cutting, any type of measuring, anything before we make the hoops, is try to true off the roof. Once we true it up, pull it back. So we're going to have to make a frame jig and pull the roof and the metal and the structure back into place. Then what happens is, then Rob will come in and we will secure it when we measure it. Because you can't cut it off now, the metal's all twisted and it's all done. So we have to true it first. So we have to pull it. So like in collision, before you cut metal off, they pull the frame, they pull the fenders out to get it close to what it is. Then they cut it off. Because then they know it's close to where it's center, so it's close to where it's supposed to be. Because if you cut it off where the damage is at, the damage is twisted. So you're going to cut it off and it'll be twisted when you weld it on. So we're going to have to true it. So we're going to have to make, and like I said, you got to get come-alongs. You're going to have to use something on it where you weld the tabs to it and pull the top back before we ever cut it off.
I think after
we're going to have to put it on a machine like that. Or make something like that where we might have to use like a forklift and some other stuff.
I don't think we're going to need to use a jig if we're going to make a whole new setup. Maybe
you not understand what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. You have to look at videos to understand the reference about the truing. You have to,
so you don't have to berate me live on our podcast.
Well, that's why I want you, so you can understand the process. You could have to go watch Goon Squad. Watch where they restore new cars and stuff on it. They put it on frame machines. V-Tune. Watch those for a while before you do anything with it.
Those guys
and look how they do
in the Middle East that put back together the. They're not 18-wheelers, but they're pretty close.
Look at the guy in Russia that rebuilds sports cars that've been wrecked. Look at those videos on collision damage.
Hold on. You've opened a whole new can of worms. Why are there so many fucking buried vehicles in Russia? What's going on?
It doesn't matter.
No, it does. Hold on. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen where a dude goes out with a metal detector and he finds a car, a truck, a SUV, a crane, a tank. Why did they just like bury stuff?
Because they don't want nobody to get in it. It's somewhere to hide assets, if not bodies.
So far, there
You
haven't
asked the
been any
question.
No, that was good.
It's Russia.
That was good.
You know where
It's
they're burying the
Russia.
cars
Fuck
for.
that bitch. No, that was good. But why? It's just weird. Like
Yeah,
it's called That One Channel, and that guy is local, and he goes out to Globe and the surrounding areas, and dude, Pete, don't buy trucks. Just go grab one of those. We'll restore it. I mean, that guy won't be able to visit this video again, but I don't know what happened to that. Get it on the trailer. Let's go. I got a winch. Come on. We can do it. I got big giant bars. Let's go.
Yeah. If you do that, then you understand it, and you go, "Oh, okay." Then you understand what I'm talking about.
Body work
You'll-
is
you'll-
hard.
you'll-
It's long and arduous. It's an art, and I'm here to learn it. I may never master it, but I'm going to have one hell of a good time trying to get it done on my vehicles because I'm not afraid. I already want to take that $500 class from that dude in California all weekend.
Well, the thing is, what happens, what I've learned, and what I've learned on it, if you do metal work right the first time, it's the less body work you have to do later.
Yep.
So if you pull the top, you do the skinning, and you prepare it and do it as you go, the less body work you have to do to build up the filler and stuff on it. So it's a time-saving crunch on it that if you do it in the front end, you don't have to pay for it in the back end.
No.
And if you don't do it in the front end, you definitely going to pay for it in the back end, and it'll take time, filler. Yeah.
I am not afraid, and both of you have known me for a long time, and Ron, and that I am not afraid of hard work. I am not afraid of rolling up my sleeves and getting the job done. And for me, all of these vehicles are a time capsule of stories. We may not know what they've been through, but they're some. It amazed me when I drove these things through town from Lynn's house or where other places I bought them, and then drove them to Pete's. When I had to stop for gas, everybody stopped and wanted to talk to me about the car that I had on the trailer. What year is that? What is that? What is that? It's an old Ford. It's a rusted heap with no engine. I'm going to use, the power of will to try to get it back on the road.
Yep.
And that looks like my grandfather's truck. Oh, I had an uncle with that truck. Oh, we used to go to my dad's thing, and the guy next door had a truck like that. Rob has all the ranch stories with his It's one of those old vehicles are time capsules, like old music. They're bubbles in time connected to interactions and experiences. And
Well, the one thing you got to learn about hot rodding, and you got to learn this out, and once you realize it, you're going to be like, is that your car is going to take on your characteristics, Bill. That car is going to take on, whether you like it or not, it's going to take on your characteristics.
Yes.
So when the build starts going along, you start seeing its character come to life. Because any old Ford looks like any old Ford, but when you build it, and when you build that Chevy, it's going to have, I'm already telling you, it's going to have your characteristics. So it's going to take a personality on all by itself. It's not going to look like every other Ford, every other Chevy. It's going to have its own characteristics.
That's another reason why I want to get the sandblaster going, because I've got 4 of those military artillery wheels out there that I need to have sandblasted and painted and all done up right. And I want to put those on the. I'm not going to put them on the coupe. I think I want metal rims on the coupe. There's one on there already. It looks sharp. But I think I want to do the military artillery wheels, which are for blackout vehicles, on the 2-door sedan. And I'm still thinking dark blue and maybe black fenders. I don't know. I'm leaning towards that because the 48 coupe, I still want to do Inferno red and or Inferno Orange rather, because red is too fucking expensive. And I think I want to do like, Krager wheels or something, like I got on the truck, mag wheels from the '80s that are obnoxious and.
Like, buddy, when it comes time to paint that car, if you want to do red, we'll do Regal red. We'll do the Rust-Oleum.
I don't know.
We got to paint it.
Really like an Inferno Orange. It's really growing on me. It's like a tangerine color. It's like an orange red. Maybe you're right. It doesn't matter. Just grab one in the yard. I'll work out a deal with Pete. It's either going to cost me cash money or physical surf labor. Or like I told him, I think I found you another indentured servant, Pete. That's
Dude,
great,
yeah,
Bill, but I really need money. I'm doing the best I can. Most of the people I know are broke. Sorry, man.
You want to paint the 47 black with blue?
No.
The Ford.
The Ford 48 two-door sedan, the one that's in the best condition. The
one that you can bring over.
I'm thinking about bringing it home, and honestly, Willow is going to end up owning that car in the end.
Okay.
So I'd like to put a 302 in it, a good transmission, power, everything. Even, I don't know if air conditioning will fit in that tiny little car, but we'll figure out a way.
Vintage air, you can do it. There's ways to do it. There's ways to do it. You put it inside the cab, not outside on it. There's ways to do it.
But this would be, this is a car you drive with special occasions, Willow. You don't do this every day. Or if they have a vintage car week like they used to have at Horizon, then you bring this and park it there. And
well, what I was saying is, since the car's technically kind of apart, and if you bring it to your house, and you can get the sandblaster stuff, you could do a set in black on parts with a quick spray gun.
I'll do it all black, but I think ultimately midnight blue and black.
Well, Rust-Oleum has what's called a navy blue.
Is it? Yeah, it's pretty close.
It's a dark blue. It's a dark blue, but it's not metallic. But it is the dark blue. So when I heard you say blue and black, I'm like, oh man, we could do a Rust-Oleum paint on it.
Mm-hmm. We could.
And paint, because that's how what they were back then. They were just single stage lead paint.
Yeah.
Easy to do on it and so forth on it. You could do a Rust-Oleum, black fenders and royal blue cab.
Yeah, if I could spend 5, 10, 15 grand to give to it, hey, paint my car, that would be one thing. But no, we're going to do it Rust-Oleum, old school.
$200, bud.
This is what I can afford.
$200. They're like, what was it, like 69 or 79 cents a gallon?
Yeah.
And the gallon, you could break it down 4 quarts. You could paint your whole car with that.
I have been giving serious color scheme thought to most of the cars and trucks that I have. That's why I said the old man never said what his favorite color was, but we're pretty sure because when he talked about having the ultimate car, it was always a 56 Thunderbird baby blue convertible with a white top.
We're doing your truck baby blue with white. We're doing your truck baby blue with white.
Baby blue and
hands
white.
Down, baby blue and white.
We'll get the seats done real good eventually, So,
yeah,
with mine, the 47 big panel truck, green and black, do Kelly green and black with the black fenders.
Good. Because you have a military forest green that's like on the Jeeps that you can buy. That's a Rust-Oleum. We could do the whole panel thing once it's done in a military forest green, and then you could do the rims black and the offsets like a satin black.
Well, we're going to have to put like 10 coats of clear coat on that, so it doesn't matter if you do matte or glossy or high gloss or super gloss.
Not really, because with the Rust-Oleum, it's an enamel paint. It's a single stage paint. So all you have to do is buff it out, and it'll shine right up.
Wait, hold on. I'm having an aneurysm because the guy that told me, named Guy, that you should never paint a vehicle because some asshole will come by and accidentally scratch it, is against doing 10 coats of coating? What? Do I know you?
What I'm saying is you put a durable paint on it to begin. When you put clear coating on it and put clear coat on it, it becomes a 2 or 3 stage paint, and it's always a delicate paint to begin with. And if you're using your truck for whatever, it's easier to match up. Like if you scratch it, you can paint it, blend it in easier. So you do like a Rust-Oleum, you do a military, then if you happen to scratch it up, it's a scuff and buff, shoot it again, and it'll blend and match. Because once you add the clear coat to it, you have to go through the clear coat or anything to it to redo it.
Yeah.
So it goes better, but clear coat in this sun always ages and turns yellow. But for your truck, for what it is you do that paint. That's why the military uses this, because it's an easy, simple fix. It's low cost, but it gives you good maintenance because it stops rust. So do it. So if you wanted like a candy apple red, yes, clear coat. You put the candy in the pearl. That's a custom paint job. That's how it is. I understand that. But what you're doing with the black, and like, there's no need to. And you can always do that later and use that paint like a primer if you want when you go paint it and make the metal flake to it.
Our Supreme truck, the 54, that's just going to be matte black. I was looking at the cab today. I've got the fenders. The only thing we don't have for that one is a bed and a hood. Everything else we have. The engine, the transmission. Well, we made it a new frame. It's okay. We'll put it on a Blazer. It'll be all right. So the coupe, 48 Ford coupe, thinking Inferno orange. I wasn't really sure what to do with the 48 GMC panel truck, but the interior is going to be soft dove gray.
Okay, that works.
I don't know what to do with the outside. I'm still on the fence. Definitely not green, because I already have a green one. And even though green's my favorite color, not every fucking vehicle I own needs to be green. I have a red truck.
No.
I have a white truck.
Did you want metal flake on the paint, or did you want to go something more standard?
If we're talking about doing some serious, cool, reconstructive artwork on the inside, I am super flexible. But as far as the outside goes, I don't really want to make a decision until we're done with all the construction, if that makes sense for a color.
Yes and no, because what happens is you want to have the car somewhat apart to paint it, to make sure you paint everything that you need to get access to it. So the car can't be fully assembled to have the full interior in it. It can have parts of it, but when you go paint it, you got to have somewhat to paint there and the interior, so you can get the inside of the doors if you need the inside of the doors to be painted. You know what I mean? The sills, the firewall. So it depends on how much of the car you want painted and what color you want painted. So in part of the assembly as you go on, a lot of people, when they get done with the chassis, they paint underneath, then they go from the top, then they start painting the interior, if the interior needs painted. And what I mean by painting is you paint the metal on the inside of it before you do the upholstery. Then after that, you go to different parts of the exterior, the door jambs, the firewall, the little cracks and crevices, and paint them. Then you paint the outside. So there's little steps involved, and sometimes the steps, for it to show good, you have to do it in steps forward. So like before you hang the interior, you paint the interior first, then you hang all the stuff inside.
Luckily, with the panel truck, it's a one-seater, one visor. There's 2 cloth panels and the seat. That's
correct.
The interior.
But you have a metal floor, you have the metal paneling in the back, you have the whole things on the side. So floor. It's a lot more that you got the metal frames on the doors and the interior and outside. So there's more masking than what you think. So what happens? Those have to be addressed before you put the interior in, because you're going to wind up damaging the interior, taking it in and out to address the problem, like the dash. What color's your interior, depending on what color you want to paint the dash. The dash is metal. So if you're keeping your dash in there, you got to take the dash out, paint it, do all the electrical works, put it in. But then you got to paint the A pillar on the inside, around the doors, down at the back of the firewall, down underneath of it. So all that matches when you get into it. So when you look at it, because if you just paint the outside and don't paint the inside it's going to have all that rust and all that stuff. It's going to be patinaed. Unless you want that.
Oh, no,
That's all I'm saying.
There will be no rust by the time I'm done with it. You don't understand.
which means all that little interior stuff, all that interior stuff has to be addressed. So in your dash, your steering wheel, if you keep the original steering wheel, has to match the dash to keep the 50s or the
40s.
steampunk multicone.
Yeah. 40s.
So yeah, so you got to think of that look. You got to look at the certain cars, see how they design, and see how they do the interiors. Because a lot of cars back then, they painted them black as they're going through the assembly because it was quick and easy, and they shot it with paint. But if you're going to change the interior and make it a little gray, you have to address that with a new coat of black, satin black, or whatever color that you want.
Here's my next question. What day can the two of you get out there, and which handful of vehicles do you want to mess with? Because ultimately, I would like to... Okay. The 1937 Diamond T I have already prepped. Rob gave me a schematic. I looked at it. It was a schematic, but I think it would make good video if we... Like, what I'm saying is I can get out there and pour the Marvel Mystery Oil down the, spark plugs and make the... Get all the things set so that when you guys get out there, we can see how many vehicles we can do a will it run on in there.
Are we dealing with 6-volt systems, or are we dealing with 12-volt systems?
Both.
Okay, so
which one are
we're
you
gonna
more
have to
afraid
have,
of? That's what I should say.
Not afraid of. It just, do you have a 6-volt jumper? Do you have a 6-volt battery?
Yes.
If we're doing 6-volt systems? And a good one on it? Okay. Then it just going through the systems and make sure it's not on it. It's not too hard. It just making sure that you can turn the motor freely, and doing it and checking the spark plugs and wiring it up and seeing if the starter engaged and see if that thing would turn over. Like Rob says, it's really not that difficult with a couple wires to create a jumper.
No.
And get that thing.
Again, it comes down to when you guys have availability. If we go out there, the three of us, and it's like, okay, we're doing this on this day, we're going to get a lot more done than just me going out there, because I'll start a project and it'll be, hey, sorry to bother you, but since you're out here, can you help me with this real quick? Which turns into... And not that, I mean, I'm not complaining that that's normal. That's also the price you pay, because my shit's out there. A lot of my shit's out there. It would take many, many trips to get all of the shit I have out there back to my house, and I don't have enough room to store it all. So, the best thing I can do is to start just restoring what I can, get those on the road, and then they're not in his yard anymore. They got... Basically, there's going to be maybe a solar farm next door, and to the north next door.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
After all this work, we have to move. No, we're not moving anywhere. We've done all this fucking work at your... Okay, it sounds like you might have to move. After all...
Damn.
But the shop, we're so close. I want to bring my heaps in there so I don't have to work in the sun anymore. So, get the second Suburban torn apart, get the other stuff going on. In the meantime, I've been looking at 302s and transmissions, and he's like, just buy a Ford with... No, dude, you complain all the time about having vehicles in your yard. Let's say I get a Bronco or a Mustang from the 80s, and now this fucking Fox body is in your car, and I got to hear about it every time I come out to see you.
Yeah, it's you don't want that extra. You don't want that extra trouble.
Just easy to have it rebuilt when delivered.
Yeah, it's easier to have one rebuilt. The only reason you would do like a Fox body or a truck is if you were going to cannibalize it like the Suburban, and you're putting it right next to each other, and you're taking the parts and you're swapping them over, doing what you need, and you're going to cut that truck up and have it taken away.
Yeah.
And you're making it disappear. That's the only reason you would do it. because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're disposing of the vehicle and you're taking all the parts and using it for yours, then it makes sense. But if you're not going to do that, you know, you buy an engine or you get an engine from something, you throw it on an engine stand and see what happens and get it ready to put it into a body. And
Well, even today, I'm like, Joe, I'm thinking about putting a 302 in the Ford, and I was talking to him about it. You're not going to put a Chevy engine in there? Well, they're all built for Fords, and Fords are traditionally universal. So all you have to do is change the motor mounts. Why would I want to put a totally different motor in? Well, most guys do that. That just didn't make any sense. Then again, he had been in the sun with me for a couple hours, so
no, it makes sense because Chevys are easier to get, and you can find them. They're plentiful, and you can get the motor mounts and stuff in it. It's just easier to acquire. Let's say it's easier and more plentiful. But there's nothing saying that you can't put a Ford in there. People put Fords in there. People's put Dodges in there. People's put tractor motors.
Yeah, well,
they put tractor motors in there.
Would it make more sense to put like a 250 six banger in there, or maybe like a 235, 237, or 327?
Any of those would work. Any of those would work if it's running engine.
Speaking of going crazy,
well, the only reason is weight to power ratio. Those cars are not that heavy once you lighten them up to a certain point. So you could put a V6 in there, and the V6 will have enough power to move them because it's sheet metal, but they're not heavy compared to some other cars. So they can give you great power to weight ratios. What do you think they made hot rods out of them?
Yeah.
You stuck a V8 in that thing, it had horsepower because there's really some of those had wood floors in them. They're light. They're like a go-kart.
Yeah.
They're go-kart. They're go-kart.
That part, no matter what, unless you're going to put an original motor, original format motor and transmission back into that car, any motor you put into that vehicle is going to require that you build motor mounts, transmission mount, cross member, anything that you go to put in there. Now, the other thing that comes along is if we're talking about the Ford sedans, you can go to Speedway and you can get universal kits that are universal motor mount kits that weld in or bolt into the frame. You can get universal transmission cross braces that do the same. So all of the bits and pieces are available. And the nice thing about universal is universal fits everything, but it doesn't fit anything well, which means that you got to do the work to make it fit. But you can if you buy a 302, you can buy the motor mount adapters that bolt to the block. You buy the motor mount universal kit that meets those adapters. That gets bolted or welded to the frame. You now have that installed in the vehicle. Same thing with the transmission mount. You buy the one that fits the transmission with the universal adaptations that fit the frame itself. And you're off to the races. That's why you could put if we had a 10-bolt rear axle sitting out there that was free to use, you could have it. We could throw a 10-bolt in the back of that thing. It'd be a Chevy rear axle, but who cares? It's going to fit. It's going to work. It's going to drive. You're going to put disc brakes on the car anyway.
Yeah.
You're not going to be sending anybody that you love out with the original drum brakes that came on those cars. So you'd be better off leaving the holes in the floor and just buying the boots.
Yeah.
You know what Bill needs? We need to get him a Summit catalog, a GEEKS catalog. What was that other one? The good guys.
Speedway's got an office.
Speedway sends me an email every day. Holy crap! Yes, I've been to Speedway. I've walked in there.
They've got a facility. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's out off of I-7, I-10.
Yeah, they don't have anything.
They have an awesome
floor.
Yellow hot rod. I sent you the pictures and the fucking. Sorry.
You have to go in. You have to know what's in the catalog to know what they have. The warehouse is incredible. Their store footprint, they don't even have, a quarter of the size. They don't even have a tenth of the size of what O'Reilly's has.
Yeah.
On the floor.
You have to know what it's like Radio Shack. You have to know what the fuck you're doing to be in there.
Is SoCal still off at Indian School?
I believe so.
Oh, we gotta take Bill to SoCal.
Or, you know what store I really enjoy going to all the time is Vintage down on McDowell.
That works
Yeah.
too, but you have to go to them, get their catalogs, because then it gives you options to see what you can do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know what I love about those places?
Mm.
The returns and the scratch and dent places.
Yep.
Huh.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. People who buy stuff don't know what they're doing, put it in, return it. Then you're like, oh, I can fix that. I can use that. So
You want to
sometimes you
have
pick up.
fun? Take some of those old steel wheels that you have that you don't necessarily like the look of.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay? And we go get you some moon discs over at SoCal Speed Shop.
Ooh, I like
we gotta go to SoCal.
You get the moon discs that were returned because they've got a scratch or a dent or whatever. And you don't care what it looks like because you're just going to put them on those steel wheels.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go ape shit when they see it because now you've got these beautiful moon spun discs. But if the car doesn't look like if it doesn't look like a Barris custom with all the extras, so it looks like something that's been driven and it's kind of rough, and you've got moon discs, but they're a little rough, everybody's going to fall all over themselves. They're going to say, oh my God, look at this. It's got all the stuff. If you bought the foot gas pedal,
Yeah.
but it's got a scratch in it or it's got damage to it, put that stuff on the vehicle. People are going to lose their minds because they're going to look at it and go, well, this one's not a beater. It doesn't look like one of these rat rods.
Yeah.
But it's not a perfect show car. It's something in between. Everybody's going to look at it. You could be the one that creates the next big, not a rat rod, this is where we are.
This is the demon rod category.
Dude, in the scratch and dent saves you so much money.
Yeah.
And it looks on your car a lot better. Just like Rob was saying, you get the ones with the V8 and so forth, and you slap them on.
Yeah.
You pay for them less money because nobody wants them. Okay, they got a dent on them. So what? I built my Camaro with parts like that coming from SoCal, getting interior parts from it. Nobody can really tell. Nobody knows the difference. It's so awesome.
Have fun with it. You get to put in when you have to put in when you're putting in hoses or fluid lines under the hood of a 47. Have yourself some fun. Put copper line in. Put brass line. Because now you're going to pop the hood. There's your steampunk. Somebody's going to look at it. If you had a 302,
they're going to go, oh, you went to Home Depot, huh?
And you put 3 deuces, a triple deuce intake on it, and you use copper line with brass fittings to go from the fuel pump up to the triple deuces, people are going to lose their mind.
Yeah.
Dude, you really want to make them lose their mind, Bill? Going off of what Rob said, you take the valve covers, you put the heated hammer paint, the copper or brass hammer paint on the valve covers, you take the fuel line and you put a liquid pressure gauge for fuel on it in a brass line. So what it looks like a steam engine.
Huh.
And it's all usable parts. It's just how you do it. You could do the intake in a hammered metal, a high resistant hammer metal instead of a regular paint. And the motor will look like a piston engine, like a steam engine. And that's just a regular 302. So there's so much that you can do with the air filter and stuff on it that you could change it. So when people pop the hood, like on what Rob said, using the copper lines and stuff, then people go, whoa, you could do the whole thing in steampunk apparel.
Yeah.
Just by key things that you do inside of it. Just key things.
I looked at the 235 out of the 54 as a challenge more than a, reality. That, and that's why they were all like, what's the point? It's not even that powerful of an engine compared to all of the other engines that are available. And it's
but you know what you can do with it? You know what fun you can have with that motor if you can get it running? What we do is, Pete's always coming up with old bits and pieces. If he came across an old diesel generator and the motor itself was bad, but the generator assembly and inverter and everything was working, well, hell, I'd be happy to I would lose my mind to get my hands on an old flathead 4 or a flathead V8, put it in a little chassis, put that generator on it, and fire that damn thing. Drive people insane. You take that to a car show. You pull
People
up
be like,
with
what
a
the?
48, or better yet, you pull up with a 32 Ford AA truck, and you're towing that on a beat up old frame. Everybody's looking at it, what the hell is this? Well, this is how I turn the lights on for the car show. Fire that motor up. Everybody's looking. Now you've got a generator. The compressor that you had, if you had a little 4-cylinder, a flathead 4 out of a Ford or a Chevrolet, running the motor, a big 4-piston compressor motor, well, usually it's got this whatever motor that we get. You fire that thing up, people are going to lose their minds. And it's not that nobody's going to be chasing you down to put it in their workshop, except that they want to be the one that says, no, I've got to take a look at my compressor.
It's a novelty.
It runs off of a flathead. Yeah.
Oh my God, Bill. Is the 47 that you want to bring home? If you want to paint it, why don't we do a steampunk paint job on it?
Because that usually
What?
patina.
A weathering. Yeah, but you do it in steampunk style. You do a patina to it, but you do it in steampunk style, like you would weather a steampunk gun. Not like a car patina.
I'm thinking about that for the delivery sedan.
Yeah, you do that on it with it. So that type of patina on the delivery sedan is still paint, but it's not standard patina. It's a type of
it's dry brushing.
You come over and make fake rivets at the forge that you can put on the things, drive people nuts. Because all we got to do is make the monkeys. All we got to do is make tooling.
Yeah.
And we can make any size rivet head you want, put on there. Drive people insane when they show up. Where'd you get all this stuff? Well, here's the video.
You would love that because you can patina anything you want, put the rivets and stuff with it. It's in your wheelhouse. You already know how to patina it. You already have the basics for the paint, so it's easy to do.
Yeah, I can't draw.
Think about it this way. Do you have bits and pieces? Do you have old panels out there that
oh my God,
you're not going to use? That you're not going to put onto a vehicle? Bring one home, paint it up. We paint it. Get the Rust-Oleum paint. Do a nice paint. Nice base on it. Right? Then you start playing with your steampunk stuff. Then we can start putting rivets on it, start weathering it, and then we clear over the top of it when you're done. And then we take that and you video everything you're doing, and then we put it up for sale. Somebody's going to lose their mind and want that part. Just to have it becomes something that goes in a shop, something that goes up somewhere. Might even be something somebody says, hey, I'm really interested in that. You say, well, you know what? I'm open to trades. These are the kind of parts I could use.
Cha-ching!
I have so many doors that I don't need. So, yeah.
Remember now, when one door closes, another door opens. But that's mostly because Grandpa was a shitty carpenter. But
when one door opens, Jesus is parked across the street at the neighbor's house and crawled home.
Exactly.
No, this just gives more fuel to the fire because I made such a big deal about taking apart the Flathead 6. Why don't we just make a Mad Max Road Warrior car out of that and put it on the frame and then put the 47 because make a floor that if you
I can show you how to make out of sheet metal.
Please.
Very easy to make the floor pan.
Yeah.
It's not going to look factory, but you don't give a shit about
I don't give a shit about that. If you're going to restore a vehicle and keep everything original, dude, that's like the holy grail of awesomeness. I really hope you can do that. I can get pretty close with that with none of my vehicles, come to think of it. Fuck that. No, it's all been altered. So you do the best you can, and the only people that call you on it are nerds. Nerds are going to go, that's not, they didn't have that year. Dude, it doesn't fucking care. You weren't there for all the work. You didn't crawl under this motherfucker and get dirt and rust in your eyes and sweat and stand out there while dogs are licking and biting your face at 110. Love bites, not anger bites. They love me. Sheba was with me all day today.
Well, Bill, you're going to notice one thing on it. The people who say that, they're not really car people.
No.
They're enthusiasts. They know a little bit to be dangerous. A true car person appreciates the work and can see it.
Yeah.
So what happens is they look at it and go, what did you do? How'd you do that? You'd be surprised. A true car person is interested in how you did it and why you did it and the story behind it. Where the other one's like, oh, that looks stupid.
Yeah.
Well, they have no reference to it. To them, they want something that's perfect.
Yeah. No.
That's all they understand.
I'm glad we're talking about this because that's very true. Because a car geek would come up to another going, that's not what I would have done. But I see that you did this and that and these and those and that one right there and those things over here. And I've had to do that before. That's a giant pain in the ass. So what did you do about this? So you're totally right on that. Where a nerd would come in and go, they didn't have that year. Oh, I see that you did this. Why are you pointing out all the flaws of all the hard work I did? Because it's not factory in the book.
They're not a nerd.
Exactly.
They're not a nerd. Those are not nerds. Those are just haters and people come in. I'll give you an example.
Some of them are nerds.
I'll give you an example with the car. You gotta meet these people and you gotta see it. You gotta have people that come up. They're enthusiasts. Okay, they look at the things of it, and they're usually in car groups like the Corvettes Club of America, the Shelby Club of America, and you could have people that are perfectionists. Now, perfectionists are perfectionists with their type of car. Those are the people that come up with, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. I'm a judge. And what happens is, those are for restored cars only. When you're building a hot rod, that goes out the window. So all those people that come up to your car are not critiquing your car. They're just blowing themselves up. It's an ego thing of it. When you look at it, they didn't build that car. They didn't restore that car. So when it's a hot rod, when it's a stuff on it, it's not original, never was, never going to be. How can they critique it? Because it was never that way to begin with.
No.
So those people, those are the perfectionists, and all they're doing is showing off, blowing steam.
Yeah.
A nerd will come up and say, well, that's a 42 Ford. It was built with this engine. They will quote you stuff about the car, but they will never belittle your car. They will say, oh, in that year, did you know it came up with this engine? And it had the 4-door, but in this one, they give you context and information. But the elitists, I call them elitists will say, well, that one's not original. You did whatever you. No, that's the one.
You're really right, because even thinking about it, God, my dad's a geek, not a nerd, because he would be like, that doesn't belong on this year, but that guy did this, and that took him like 10 hours. That's a giant pain in the ass. It's almost not worth it on this year and this model. He must really love this car. And that, my father would just leave it at that. He wouldn't say any more. He wouldn't berate the guy. He wouldn't make fun of him. Or he would go, oh, hey, that's a good addition. That's So that, looking back, I completely agree with what both of you were saying on that, because it's one thing to just come in and be a critic in a negative sense, in the negative sense of being a critic, not in like, no, you've got to feel the color blue. But to come in and shit on somebody's work and to not have put your time in the trenches and with a welder and with a wrench and with that, there's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference. And as you get more into it, like when I deal with classic cars and I deal with elitist people, some of these people buy the cars and they own them, but they never really put their hands in them. They never got their hands dirty, broke their knuckles and so forth. They know nothing about the car. So the elitist portion is, I have this Hemi Cuda. I have the money to buy it. but yet they don't know it's 426 horsepower. They don't know what plant it was made from. They don't know the reason why they got all they
They
are
don't know
they
why
just
it's called a
numbers and money.
Hemi.
Yeah, they have no reason what it is. They have no idea what it is. All they did
They're
is
into
their leaders.
Dodges.
I
They're
have
not
it and
a
you don't.
Dodge guy.
Yeah, those are not car people, because all it is, they're money people, and that's the product, and they're using for bragging rights.
Yeah.
Those people you get all the time. But when you come up and go, hey, how long did it take to build it? Well, my builder. As soon as they say my builder, I'm like,
Never mind.
never mind, never
Never
mind.
mind.
Once they say my builder, and I go, where's your builder? I like to talk to him.
Like Rick told me,
They
I
don't know.
can't wait till one of your vehicles is done and you can come with me to the pavilions and answer stupid questions for 4 hours on a Friday night.
Dude, at the
Yes, I did
pavilion,
all
I
the
would
work
have.
myself. Yes, when I found it was trash. Yes, I did the. Yes, it took 9 years. Yes.
Yep.
Fuck
Yep.
that. Let's just work on a new car.
Dude, but you get people that'll come up and it'll be generally like, oh my god, I can't believe they did this. Oh my god, you look at that, that's pretty. And what happens? Those people, they love it. They'll
Yeah.
come up and they'll realize for what it is because they done it. When they are in the trenches and they know, man, it's so hot being out here, and I cut my arms and burnt my forearms and busted my knuckles. And I know, man, you welded that all in there. Oh my god, what did you use? How did you use it? How do you keep the metal? They'll
Yeah.
ask you those type of questions,
I
and
think.
they're appreciative of it.
Yeah. I made the videos real quick of us being at the. God, it was almost a year ago doing the swap meet.
Okay.
It was in like October because Frenchie's daughter Sam and Nick got married, and her fiance Nick got married. Well, you can know people without having to know cars. So I curtailed all my humor in selling parts to people, not items. And when I was missing the next day, because I had to go to a wedding, I had a bunch of shit going on, Judy pulled me aside and said, Harold really did his best. He was really trying to fill in for your shoes. Because for the longest, Harold's like 80 years old, like Joe. They're Vietnam vets. They're from another era. And at first, when those guys meet me, they think I'm a clown, which, yeah, that's half of my personality. But I'm also a tremendous badass. So I have to, take the time. This is all my life. I've had to take my time to prove to these old men that, yeah, I'm lighthearted and fun and kind, but I am not weak. And then after a while, like right now, Harold went from looking like he was about to insult me to, hey, Bill, are you free? I could really use you to help me do this. Yeah, dude, I'll come. I'll pay you. I don't need you to pay me. I need electrical work in the future. You're an electrical engineer, an electrician. So our relationship changed over a period of time, but it was Judy that was like, Harold did his best to try to do your material and to try to fill in, but you're you. It's like if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me that I've never met anyone like you. Stand in line. You're one of many. Like even my neighbor Rick, I've never met anyone like you. You're the only person like you I've ever met.
Yeah.
That's true. They
Yeah,
kind of
that's true,
broke
yeah.
the mold.
Let me take you. On a car ride. I'm going to take you. We're going to go about 400 gears, 500 gears, and about 60 miles that way. I'm going to introduce you to more people like me. Some who are not, some who are close, some who may be a little farther beyond. But I'm going to show you where it comes. Come here. Have a seat.
There's a whole lot of weirdos out there that you know nothing about.
Watch this.
Oh yeah.
And that's whether it's cars, whether we're doing steampunk, whether we're going to do Dungeons and Dragons, whether we're going to do more blacksmithing, which I feel terrible. I was looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, I haven't been over there in months. But then again, you want to work overtime? You want to work overtime?
Yeah.
And then by the time I get to my days off, I'm like, I should go out and work on cars and go do blacksmithing and some ceramics with Ed. And then I should.
Yeah.
So it's. This is the problem with being old. you're like, cool, I have all this extra knowledge and experience and wisdom, but now my body is a shit show. And, like all the younger coworkers, you use alcohol to kill pain? Don't you? No, I'm 22. Oh, that's right. You guys are still using it for fun.
Yeah, you're still using it to induce pain.
Yeah.
That's right.
You guys go out and vomit. You don't get to that certain line where you're like, oh, thank God. No, I don't want any more to drink. For one, I'll get sick or think I'm a 5-star chef. Both of those things are bad. Or
Dude, yeah.
I'm not looking to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
there's several cashiers that I talk to a great deal, and one of them was a friend of Hannah from high school. So he started asking me all these questions. I'm like, holy shit. And then he was talking about the shelter that we worked at in 2012, and I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I still have one of the cats. Can I get Venus on my brand new camera? You can kind of see her. Venus is 13 right now. She has the very beginning stages of kidney failure, so that's heartbreaking. But again, she's 13 years old, and I saved her from being a test cat at a dog shelter, so she's had an opulent, spoiled life. She sleeps in bed next to me every night and still peeps and trills to me like she was a kitten. So we won. But the one guy was talking about, I was there really early in the morning, like 5 something. So this gas stations, and I'm sure it hasn't changed since the early 90s when I worked there. First shift is 6 to 2. Second shift is 1:30 to 9:30. Third shift is 9 to usually 6:30. So the overnight guy hadn't left yet. And he says, no bourbon today? And I said, actually, no, dude, I have stuff to do. If I start drinking now, I'm not going to get anything done. I mean, bourbon's fun, but I need to do things. Plus, I got to drive for an hour, do a whole bunch of physical labor in the sun, sweating my ass off while I chug coffee and water. And then I got to drive an hour home, which the hour home is, because I don't have somebody to talk to. I'm getting road weary. So he's like, oh, and he was like one of the other people that is like, I use alcohol for pain. I'm like, no, weed is for all day and all night. Weed is for getting things done. It helps me hyper focus. It's kind of like Adderall for somebody with ADHD, because now I only have 20 tabs open instead of 500 tabs open. So he says, oh, I can't smoke weed. And it was like, I didn't have time to like ask him and talk to him about the reasons why, but they're probably medical. But the other guy, the other overnight guy, and I'd see him more, and on his name tag, Hades. So I always want to, I think we've talked about this before, I always want to ask him, so you're the oldest brother then?
You're the oldest brother.
Because technically Zeus is youngest. Poseidon's the middle kid. We all know how that is. We get ignored. That's why we lash out. That perfectly explains the ocean.
You know what? When you get older, the one thing is you wind up on it. You always have your little crutch or stuff on it. Yeah. Is that like for me? I have a thing of ibuprofen right by me all the time.
Yep.
Just for the stuff on it. So I'm like, ugh.
I took 5 this morning before breakfast. 5 200 milligram. Yeah. But
you know, it mixes in really good with the chorizo when I'm making the breakfast burritos.
With the huevos, yes.
Oh my God, I love chorizo.
Chorizo.
Or mole. Or what's the one that begins? I love mole.
Dude.
Mole's.
Dude, we were making mole today. We made mole today. Your
mom's like a really good cook, and I'm not going to be able to get that. I found a tamale lady at work, and then my contact decided that she was charging too much. So now I don't have a tamale lady anymore. God damn it! She wants to charge $25 a dozen. I'm okay with that. That's too much, Wendy. Oh my God! And then she brought chili rellenos. But it's from
chili rellenos are good.
Oh my God, I love chili rellenos so much because it's basically fried mozzarella, but in a chili on a much bigger
Really do.
scale. But it's like Valley Luna makes really good chili rellenos. Uh,
Oh, dude, you gotta get the ones with meat in it. You gotta do with the
well,
chili and the raja, the meat. Ooh.
the problem, no. I love Wendy. She's my partner. It's her and me tomorrow night, just the two of us all night long till 11. And then we're like, oh my God, thank God here. Third shift.
We're
We
good.
locked this. I did the ballroom. I did the golf course. This place is haunted. Because it's super haunted. I'm not allowed to post any more videos. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about the super haunted Tapatio Cliffs.
Hail.
Yeah,
I got in
the
trouble.
potato.
Tapateo. I love that place. I love the view. I love the people I work with. I hate the hours I work and the pay sucks. And ever since Passover and the owners decided to sell the place, I've already been putting out. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have this job because I just get in trouble like every other week for. They were mad about the videos. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take them all down. And then the manager of HR was like, no, it's fine. You can leave them up. Whoa.
Oh.
If they're a little bit mad, no, it's
Yeah.
fine. Because at first, Jamie was, I love Jamie. I think he's one of the he's either the manager or one. I watched all your
I'm glad you
videos.
took them down.
Yeah, I watched all your
I'm
videos.
glad you took them
Oh
down.
my God, thank you. And he just looked at me like, what? And I'm like, you don't really know how YouTube works, do you? And he's like, no, not really. And then I explained how the algorithm worked, and I did an analogy and metaphor of 80s marketing. And I've said it on here before. We talked about it yeah, you're both nodding because blah, 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 Bill. So he didn't really get it until, and then he thanked me later. He's like, I had no idea. I'm like, you stand more success trying to sell yourself on Rumble and YouTube and TikTok and locals and all that other stuff than you do going to a talent agency and be like, I want to be an actor. No, dude, just go make videos. They'll pick you up. Trust me. They're either going to like you or they aren't. Or even better, hi, do you want me to be the lead? Actually, we want you to be a background extra. Sold! When can I start? I'll show up tomorrow. I don't need to be the star. I just want to be in the fucking movie. I've only been an extra once in the movie Showdown with Billy Blanks and Christy Taylor, Ben Stiller's wife. She was so nice. She was so cool. Of course, she was nobody back then. She'd been like one other movie. And Brian James, who has been in a shit ton of movies. He's been a bad guy in like everything. And he's the one that's besides Rutger Hauer, he's the other male replicant. How many days do I have to live? 4. That's longer than you. Boom! And he puts his fist through the metal container. And Harrison Ford's like, holy fuck, I'm dead. And it's only Rachel that saves him. Because that's... The problem is that with that movie, it's a Philip K. Dick. So it's more of like a reaction thing, like, whoa, than it is like action adventure. It's not supposed to be set up like that. It's supposed to be a gumshoe in the future where there's
It's supposed to be a Philip Marlowe.
Yeah, there's action adventure in it, but it's not Total Recall or what they made. Well, do androids dream of electric sheep into Total Recall, which I have not seen the new one. Have either of you? Oh, we really went left field on this. Sorry, guys.
I've seen part of it, and I think that had a Kate Beckinsale in it with not Russell Crowe. It's he played Bullseye.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah,
Russell
Kate
Crowe.
Beckinsale was in the new Total Recall.
He's great.
And it's
Bullseye.
he played Bullseye in Daredevil.
And he's in The Gentleman.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. I like him.
Oh.
He's just an angry. He's the Daredevil movie. You love and hate, but it's okay. It's not perfect. It's not great. It's not the best. Charlie Cox kind of nailed it better.
Oh yeah, his was way better.
You're
This was
not
way
going to
better.
get this 7-foot Bostonian to play Wilson Fisk.
Mm.
And Ben Affleck, that's why, like, Ben Affleck's going to play Batman. Well, he already played Daredevil, so he's going to do
Why not
fine.
Batman?
Yeah, he's going to do okay. Doesn't that bother you? He's an actor and it's a role. I'm far more upset that Jared Leto played the Joker than I am that Ben Affleck played Batman. I'm far more annoyed that Ezra Miller was chosen over Justin Long to play the Flash.
Oh, for the Flash? Yeah.
What the fuck happened?
I didn't like him as a Flash. I didn't like him as a Flash at all.
I won't even.
I think they would have been better. I think they were better if they would have brought Brian Gustin, the one who did the TV series on the CW.
Oh,
he would have been better as the Flash.
He's great. I love that show. I'm like season 4 or 5. The Salivar guy showed up in the Speed Force.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good. I won't say nothing. I like the Arrowverse. I like the Arrow.
Yes. Well, again, DC made shitty movies and did great TV shows, and Marvel made terrible TV shows and did great movies. And they really didn't like today, taking out the motor mounts. Chevy hasn't learned a fucking thing. You didn't weld the motor mount nut to the motor mount. Had I not held that 3/4 nut for Joe, he would have been there all goddamn day.
Yeah, it would have been tweet, 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 tweet.
And they're cone-shaped, and they're this fucking long, and it's all threads. It's not like, okay, nothing. Threads. Happiness threads. So, I agree with you on that one. Also, Charlie Cox did a great job as Daredevil because, God, I hate, we just sound like broken records and old men. Daredevil's the center of the Marvel universe, but he kind of is.
Well, you gotta watch Born Again. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. It's good, and it's like the Netflix series. It's actually one of the better shows on Disney Plus.
Is Joanne Wally in it?
No.
His mom?
No, she's in the third season of it, but that story is done.
No.
They got everybody in for, but I'm not going to give away what happens in the season 4 in Born Again.
Dead, but she plays his mom, and that's Sorcerer, dude.
Dude, the whole series is actually pretty good and stuff. I like the Daredevil series. The one series that I was really disappointed with, and I saw excerpts of it, and I stopped watching because it's so idiotic.
What?
It's the new Ironheart, and I never been so insulted about a character ever. Oh my God! Somebody had a brain fart and thought this was good. It's going with the characters that we loved back in the '80s, and how the story progresses. This one here is so insulting
you know
that you wanted to smack the hell out of the girl. You wanted to smack the hell out of her.
No, it's not her fault. She's just an actress.
No,
it's the
but
writers,
I mean the character,
and the director, and the producers, and because they say action, and she does what's written, and the rest of her horrible crew, I want to steal stuff, and that's not what heroes do. Even when Spider-Man steals something, he finds a way to reciprocate, to make up for the theft that he doesn't want to do in the first place. Where,
dude, in the first episode, and I'm not gonna, she commits. She commits a crime, and I looked at it and like, it's not a crime of necessity, where she's trying to protect somebody and it's like a lesser thing. It's an outright crime, and the whole series about crime. And I looked at it and like, this doesn't make any sense.
Let's take it. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back to the late 30s. Let's go back to the beginning of vigilantism with the Shadow. I'm sorry, the Phantom. Before the Shadow, the Phantom is like 2 or 3 years before the Shadow. I can't remember everything, people. My brain is not that big. According to a quick 5-page IQ test, I have 107 IQ. That's it. Granted, I've read a lot more books and had a lot more theories and revelations since then, but That was 1997. And what year is it now? 2025?
Yep,
It's
all year long.
2025. Captain Power and the Power Rangers should be showing up soon. Anyway, so the problem, well,
You
now
know it.
I
You
lost my
can
train
just
of
get you
thought
to say
now
it.
because
Just to get you to say it.
Go ahead.
They don't know how to write superheroes. They don't know how to
No!
write them.
Well, okay.
They have no idea. They don't know how to write them. I'm gonna say it.
If you were to make a superhero now that was 17 years old, it would have to be a very internet savvy kid that had a minor tech. The problem with Ironheart and all of the rebranding of the mid 90s Marvel and DC superheroes is they went on this, hey, everybody went fucking apeshit, crazy, batshit moron town when we killed Superman. I bet if we remade everybody, we could get the same revenue. They made a big deal. It's been all over about Sacha Baron Cohen playing Mephisto. Okay.
Dude, he was the only redeeming part of it.
He's up there with Robin Williams and Jeffrey Rush and Gary Oldman and Daniel Day-Lewis and, please, help me out, Brian Blessed, Kenneth Branagh, who else do you... All of the human chameleons that can become other people. Alec Guinness, Peter Sellers, those people that can mimic, and half the street people in Vegas that can be other people when they need to be for a scene. You haven't seen his movies? The Dictator and Bruno and...
I've seen his movies. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm not talking about... I'm sorry. I was speaking...
You're talking about the audience.
I was being rhetorical to the world. Not I. You two are smart. I don't think you're stupid. Let's clear that up right now. You wouldn't be on the council if I thought you were morons. But people...
No, but I understand what you mean.
I think he's a fucking great choice for Mephisto. But as I was screaming on Facebook, how's the script?
They wasted him. He did the best out of the situation, but after seeing it and after looking at the contents of it and the whole story, they don't know how to write superheroes. Whoever wrote this and how they wrote it didn't know the basic of superheroes or the things about superheroes, because I could have did a treatment on this whole character, leaving everything the same, and I would have changed it differently to make more sense.
Yeah.
Because what she does didn't make sense
There is
for how smart she is. She does stupid things.
Yeah. There's a formula for superheroes. There literally is a formula. And you have to have all or nothing. The all or nothing premise is such. God, we're going... Okay, we're at 3 hours. Before we strap in for this, how is everybody doing?
I am beat, fortunately.
Damn it! I'm like totally ready to go off on a tirade.
Forward.
No, I
will let you two carry it forward because I am still recovering from Bonsai home.
Okay.
Bonsai.
Hold on. Let me. Oh, let's do this. Let me give you these bullet points to be discussed for next week.
There we go.
Shazam family, Fantastic Four, Power Pack, Incredibles, opposed to Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Daredevil. How much time do we have? So you either get the whole family to be superheroes, or you get a loner who loses everything and must redeem himself. For as much Spider-Man sacrifices to be Spider-Man, he still goes home to Aunt May, and she will tell him how terrible, awful, scary, horrible Spider-Man is. And he's a threat. And I read in the newspaper today what J. Jonah Jameson said about him. And he's awful, and he's a vigilante, and he needs to be stopped. Those are nice pictures, Peter.
So the only clarification I needed is, we're talking about teams or families, like
Families.
true families. Oh, family.
Families
Okay, so they
versus
don't.
loners for next week.
Okay, so families, not teams, because
No.
the Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four has a part family in it. The Incredibles are family,
There you go,
but
guy.
when you
Thank
go
you for
when you
destroying next week's.
Oh
no,
no, well, hey,
well, I'm
who
going to
else
go
can you
into it.
throw in the family?
Who
You've
who
got
is? Yep.
you've got you've got Thor, and you've got
Mhm.
his family. So you've
Oh,
His
got all of
family,
Asgard.
or
But
his
then
family.
don't forget,
the
you can bring
Greeks.
in Beta Ray Bill,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
his
Mm-hmm.
family.
And the Greeks.
So
Can't forget the Greeks on both sides,
Yep.
DC and Marvel. The
Yep.
Greeks are involved.
Oh,
I
so
didn't
not to
even.
blow it up, I
I
just
did
wanted
not consider the
clarification.
gods. You guys both caught me off guard. And if this was a con, some nerd would
Rob
have
got
gotten
it.
me in the
Rob got it.
fucking. It's like, God damn it! Good job, nerd. He got me. I was not prepared for this fucking rebuttal. So, oh God, I didn't even think about. Well, and it sucks
Yeah.
too because Thor in the comics is different than Thor in the movies. Thor in the movies is kind of a little bit better. He's way more laid back. He laughs at himself. Thor in the comics in the early Avengers, he's super serious. But
Yeah.
yes, Fantastic Four is altered humans that are a family, but they're also a team. But they functioned as a family before they became a team because Johnny and Sue are blood related, but Reed and Sue are married. But Ben and Reed have been acting like brothers long before Johnny and Sue came along. Ben
Well, it's
looks
like,
out for Reed. Ben doesn't want Reed to get bullied because he's a
well,
nerd.
the only reason is, and I'll bring it up next week just for all the rest of
You're going
your
to bring it up
followers and
now.
stuff
You
on it.
can't help yourself.
No, it's because I wasn't good because I wanted to make sure the distinction, like the Avengers, uncommon people, because there's blood related, then there's like family. Think of like Toretto and his familia. They're all car racers, but they're not related. Very few of them are, but I just wanted to make that distinction. So when I go
Well,
off and bring my points next week, that's all I wanted to do.
Well, the X-Men would be family, some of them, but the Avengers, it's all
No,
marriage, I would
it,
say.
it
well,
would
if you
only
want
be
to
through marriage.
throw a horrible family into
They're a
it,
horrible family.
well, no,
Family, no.
you've got a horrible family collection. Think about the true origin of Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Mhm. No.
There's an interesting family because originally, in the early stories, when we found out about the origin, they were brothers, knew they were brothers,
Mhm.
and later, not so much. One knew, the other one was aware.
Yeah. So when we go to
So,
family, there's a lot of stuff to cover, and we'll cover that next week. But it'll
Yeah.
be interesting.
With
I already
time,
had some good ideas.
yeah. You've got a couple time travel heroes and villains in Marvel, but time travel's a convoluted plot device. I try to steer away from it in storytelling because convoluted plot device. Ren and Stimpy said it best. What is it, man? It's a time machine. A convoluted plot device. What?
well, yeah, and both. If you're only going for the big two house, DC and Marvel, that's one thing. If you start including all of the
Yeah.
independents that became big, so you get
Dark Horse.
Epic and all these
Oh,
others, Dark
yeah.
Horse, these other groups,
League of
they
Extraordinary
brought in
Gentlemen.
certain family collections that would fall in there. The family that's given, family that's chosen.
Okay, Wildcats, Gen X, or Gen 13? What is it? Aren't they all kind of clones of one another or one?
There's going to be some in there that are going to blow your mind that I already thought of.
I don't, because you probably know, Guy, but I have a couple of those comics, and if you read just a couple of them in the middle, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Who is she? She's hot. Who is she?
Wildcats and stuff. Yeah.
You've got all of the Weapon X series where then you've got
Oh yeah.
all of the alternative timelines or the alternative pathways where so much of Logan's genetic makeup was put into how many different clones, how many different
Yeah.
children, and now you've got new family lines there. If we include Star Wars, which got picked up, now you've got all kinds of family lines that came through. Marvel did that, and now with the new, with all of those lines going forward, so
The
it gets
problem.
interesting.
DC.
Yeah.
I'm saving everything else for next week because if we're talking about families and we're talking about superheroes, I'm gonna blow your mind with some of them right there, and you know them, but you're not thinking about it.
Well, I think this gives us good research for, and I don't know what happened to Chris. I've been messaging him, and I actually haven't heard from him for a couple of days, which kind of is worrying me. And then again, happy birthday, Ron. So, this is good because there's so many family members that are behind the scenes in the Marvel universe that help out, that are worth mentioning, that never really get. They were really doing well with Netflix, with Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Daredevil, Defenders. They It was really coming together. They could have really put Spider-Man in there, which I was really hoping for, because Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are heavy fucking hitters. You don't want to be punched by Daredevil. It's really going to hurt. It's going to hurt more than being punched by George Foreman when he's super angry, or Mike Tyson when he's super angry. But being punched by Spider-Man, he can lift several tons. If he really let go, it's over.
Well, just to give a little bit of news did you hear about the new Spider-Man movie? Who's going to be in it?
No, I haven't watched the Spider-Man movie in years. Go ahead, tell me
Mark Ruffalo,
why.
the Hulk.
Wait. Okay. Ang Lee's Hulk was really good. I'm not a huge fan of Eric Bana. I mean, I want the guy to work, but he's not my. But he kind of played a withdrawn, antisocial, super anxiety filled scientist very well. So you got to give credit where credit is due. I am not so ignorant that I can't say, I don't like that guy, but he did a really good job. He was great in Troy, too. Can't knock
Well,
him. I want the guy to work,
what I was
okay? I want
getting
him to
at,
feed his kids. Go ahead.
is that because of Spider-Man, the contract that they have with Sony and Marvel, they
Yeah.
have to have one of the Marvel superheroes in their movies. So they already had Iron Man, they already had Doctor Strange, and Thor is being used somewhere else. So they have to have another one. So Hulk is going to be in the Spider-Man movie, but they don't know doing what.
Okay. Okay.
So the next movie coming out, they could have Hulk in it.
Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, the Defenders, Hulk, Spider-Man. Sam Raimi should be directing these movies, because the first couple Spider-Man movies were good because they're superhero movies, but you have to have a horror angle to it, like Darkman and so many others, like Batman, because these are not really the happy stories. Where Tony Stark, you have to have a more sterilized look at it, because you kind of connect with him later after he has his fall, like they did in the first movie. Do you guys agree or not?
Yeah, but this right here, it's doing contractually, and I'm just wondering how they're going to use him and what story are they going to go, because it's a Spider-Man movie, and I forget the director, but he directed the last Spider-Man movie, which wasn't bad, at all. So they're having the Hulk in a Spider-Man movie for some reason. Either it's going to be Dr. Banner, and he's going to be there as Dr. Banner, or the Hulk's going to show up. I don't know. The other rumor is, and this is going back to your Daredevil and all that stuff, that John Bernthal may be in the movie. And if John Bernthal's in the movie, he's the Punisher.
That makes more sense, because when the Punisher and Spider-Man first meet, the Punisher's done a little bit of research on him, but he doesn't really know what to expect from Spidey. And then after he meets him, he's like, "You're just a kid." Like most of them have a reaction to him. Wolverine, Deadpool, I don't remember if he reacts to him that way right away, but it's only like Reed Richards and Beast and a couple of the other scientists that are like, "You're a kid. You're really fucking smart." It's a different the scientists of the world of Marvel react differently to Peter Parker than the superheroes of the world react to Spider-Man. How's that? That's better.
That's
I
it.
want to stick by
What
that.
what's got me curious is that this is the movie that's supposed to lead off into Doomsday. So I'm wondering, how are they going to use the characters? Because I'm like, okay, I understand when Punisher meets him, and I understand when Spider-Man meets the Hulk or whatever. So I wonder what capacity, what storyline they're going to go after. What are they going to do for the next movie?
The worst crime for DC and Marvel in the movie theater aspect is, and some of the television, is that they are hanging on to a deadline instead of hanging on to a James Bond wagon train. We don't know when it's going to end. Yeah, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Dude, relax. It's fucking comic books. They've been going on for 80 years. They're not going to stop.
Yep.
Relax.
Yep.
That was
You need to use the television programs as your development, and then you take the developed character out of the television program, put them into a film, and then you bring them back to the television to develop the next character so that now you've got this carry on. We keep carrying. With that, I need to go, but I'm going to throw a monkey wrench at the both of you before I sign off and say, here's one to think about for next time. Which superhero or group of superheroes would be appropriate for Tarantino to direct?
Oh, love it. Tarantino movie.
Where did you go with that? With his back and forth and his switch, and I want to look at both. I want to look at it from multiple aspects. Think about.
Dude, I'm saving this for
style.
Saying that when you're about
and
to
where
leave.
You could go. Yep.
Dude, that's such a good one. Which one would Tarantino direct? Which? Oh my god!
You go with that? With his style. And with that, gentlemen, and to all of our gentle listeners,
like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Be well. Take care.
Oh, go ahead. Because now,
give us your opinions in the comments, and who would you suggest too? Come on, we need ideas, boys.
Oh, we have plenty of ideas. We will all rant on this. Hopefully, Chris and Ron will catch up. Happy birthday, Ron and Chris. Hopefully, he's okay. Thank you for watching. You could have watched anybody, but you decided to watch us. Stay geeky. And, oh, my God, I have a whole tirade. I want to go off on this now. But I'll save it for next week on Monday.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Have a great night. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a great night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.